Marcus Thornton grabbed Elena by the arm and yanked her away from his sons. His grip was iron. His eyes were fire. "Get your hands off my children," he snarled through clenched teeth. "Who gave you permission to touch them? Who told you to take them out of their wheelchairs?" Elena stumbled backward, her shoulder hitting the wall. The twin boys started crying. Their father stood over the housekeeper like a man ready to destroy everything in his path. He pointed at the door. "Get out. Get out of my house right now. I should call the police. I should have you arrested." Elena's lips trembled. She looked at the boys, then back at their father. "Mr. Thornton, please, if you would just listen to me for one moment." But Marcus Thornton was done listening. Before we continue this incredible story, please subscribe to the channel and follow this journey to the very end. Comment below with the city you are watching from so I can see how far this story has traveled around the world. Marcus Thornton stood in his own doorway like a stranger who had wandered into the wrong house. His hand gripped the doorframe so hard that his knuckles turned white. His breath came in short, sharp bursts. His heart pounded against his ribs like it was trying to escape. The wheelchairs sat empty against the wall. Both of them. The custom Italian leather wheelchairs that had cost him $40,000 each. The wheelchairs that his sons had been confined to for 18 months. Empty. And there on the floor of his therapy room, his housekeeper, Elena Reyes, had his paralyzed twin sons lying on a soft mat. Her hands were on Ethan's legs. She was moving them, bending them at the knee, rotating the ankle in slow, gentle circles. The boys were laughing. Marcus had not heard that sound in 18 months. Not since before the accident. Not since before his wife Catherine died in a twisted wreck of metal and glass on a cold December afternoon. For one moment, just one single moment, something cracked open inside his chest. Something that felt dangerously close to hope. He wanted to fall to his knees. He wanted to weep. He wanted to run to his sons and hold them and never let go. Then the fear hit him like a freight train. These were his paralyzed children, his broken, damaged, medically fragile children. And this woman, this housekeeper with no medical training, no qualifications, no right to touch them, had taken them out of the safety of their wheelchairs and put them on the floor. What if she had hurt them? What if she had damaged their spines further? What if she had undone months of careful medical treatment? The fear turned to rage in the space of a heartbeat. What the hell is going on here? Elena's head snapped up. Her hands froze on Ethan's ankle. The laughter stopped like someone had flipped a switch. Both boys turned to look at their father, and Marcus watched their smiles disappear like candles blown out in a storm. "Mr. Thornton." Elena scrambled to her feet. Her face had gone pale. "I did not expect you home until tomorrow. Your assistant said the Denver meeting was scheduled through Friday." "The meeting was canceled." Marcus stepped into the room. His Italian leather shoes made no sound on the padded floor. "Answer my question. What are you doing with my sons?" "I was helping them with some exercises. Just gentle movements. Nothing that could hurt them." "Exercises." Marcus's voice rose. He could feel his control slipping. 18 months of carefully maintained composure crumbling like a sandcastle against the tide. "You are a housekeeper. You cook. You clean. You do laundry. You do not conduct medical procedures on my children." "It is not a medical procedure, Mr. Thornton. It is just gentle stretching. My grandmother was a physical therapist, and she taught me some basic techniques. I have been very careful. I would never do anything to hurt Ethan or Noah. I love these boys. I've watched them sit in those wheelchairs day after day, staring at nothing, and I could not bear it anymore. I had to try something. I had to give them some hope." "Hope?" Marcus spat the word like it was poison. "Hope is what the doctors gave me 18 months ago. Hope is what the specialists from Switzerland gave me. Hope is what every single expert told me before they took my money and admitted they could not fix my sons. Do not talk to me about hope." Elena's eyes filled with tears, but she did not back down. "With respect, Mr. Thornton, those doctors and specialists were focused on what your sons cannot do. I am focused on what they can do, and they can do more than you think." "You have no idea what you are talking about." "I have seen it with my own eyes. I have felt their muscles respond. I have watched their toes move." "Their toes cannot move. They are paralyzed. The doctors confirmed it. Multiple times." The doctors were wrong. The words hung in the air between them like a challenge, like a declaration of war. Marcus stared at Elena, this woman who had worked in his house for 3 months, this woman who cooked his meals and cleaned his floors and did his laundry, this woman who had no medical degree, no specialist training, no qualifications of any kind. She was telling him that every expert he had consulted was wrong. The audacity of it took his breath away. "Get them back in their wheelchairs," Marcus said. His voice had gone cold, flat, dangerous. Now. Mr. Thornton, please. If you would just let me show you what I have been doing. If you would just watch one session, you would see that I am helping them. I said now. Elena looked at the boys. Ethan's lower lip was trembling. Noah's eyes were filled with tears. They looked terrified. Not of her. Of their father. That realization hit Marcus somewhere deep, but he pushed it aside. He could not afford to feel it right now. He could not afford to feel anything. Elena knelt beside Ethan. She slipped her arms under him with practiced ease. The boy clung to her, his small arms wrapping around her neck like she was the only safe thing in the world. "It is okay, sweetheart," she whispered. "It is going to be okay. I promise." She carried him to the wheelchair, settled him in gently, buckled the safety straps around his thin waist. Her hands were shaking, but her movements were careful, precise, loving. Then she went back for Noah. Noah did not want to let go either. He buried his face in her shoulder. His small body shook with silent sobs. "I know, baby," Elena murmured. "I know, but I need you to be brave for me, okay? Can you do that? Can you be my brave boy?" Noah nodded against her shoulder. She carried him to his wheelchair, buckled him in, smoothed his hair back from his forehead. Then she stood between the two boys, one hand resting on each of their shoulders. They leaned into her touch like plants reaching for sunlight. Marcus watched this. Every second of it carved another wound into his heart. His sons were clinging to the housekeeper, reaching for her, trusting her, loving her. When was the last time they had reached for him? He knew the answer. He just did not want to admit it. "I need you to leave," Marcus said. His voice was hollow now. The anger had burned through him too quickly, leaving nothing but ash and emptiness. "Mr. Thornton, please. I am begging you. Do not do this. Leave. Go to your room. Pack your things. I want you out of this house within the hour. Those boys need me. My sons need qualified medical professionals, not a housekeeper who thinks she knows better than doctors. I do not think I know better than doctors. I just think I see something they do not see. I see two little boys who are trapped inside bodies that everyone has given up on. I see two little boys who are desperate to be touched and held and loved. I see two little boys who have so much life left in them if only someone would give them the chance to live it. You do not know what you are talking about." "I know exactly what I'm talking about." Elena's voice rose for the first time. Tears streamed down her face, but her eyes were fierce. "Because I watched my little brother go through the same thing. Daniel was 12 years old when he had his accident, a skateboarding accident. He broke his back. The doctor said he would never walk again. They said his spinal cord was too damaged. They said we should focus on making him comfortable, on helping him accept his limitations, on preparing him for a life in a wheelchair." Marcus said nothing, but something in his face shifted. "My grandmother refused to accept it," Elena continued. "She was a physical therapist. She had worked with spinal injury patients for 30 years, and she looked at those doctors and she told them they were wrong. She said the body wants to heal. She said sometimes it just needs someone to believe in it." And what happened? She worked with Daniel every single day for 2 years. Stretches, movements, massage, prayer, every single day, even when he cried, even when he begged her to stop, even when everyone told her she was wasting her time. She never gave up on him. Elena paused, wiped her tears with the back of her hand. Daniel is 26 years old now. He runs marathons. He coaches a youth soccer team. He's getting married next spring. And every single doctor who said he would never walk again has no explanation for what happened. Marcus felt something shift in his chest, something he had kept locked away for 18 months. "That is one case," he said, but his voice had lost its edge. "It does not mean anything." "It means everything, Mr. Thornton, It means that the doctors do not always know. It means that the human body is capable of things that science cannot explain. It means that hope is not foolish. Giving up is foolish." She stepped toward him. Her eyes held his. "Your sons are not finished fighting. I have felt it. I have seen it. Their bodies are trying to heal. They just need someone to help them, someone to believe in them, someone who will not give up." "And you think that someone is you, a housekeeper?" "I think that someone should be you, their father. But you are not here. You are in Denver or San Francisco or London or wherever your business takes you. You are in meetings and boardrooms and conference calls. And your sons are here alone with nurses who change their diapers and therapists who go through the motions and a father who cannot even look at them without seeing everything he has lost. The words hit Marcus like physical blows. Each one landed somewhere deep, somewhere he had tried to protect, somewhere he had built walls so high he thought nothing could reach him. "How dare you?" he whispered. "How dare I what?" "Tell you the truth someone needs to, because those beautiful little boys are disappearing, Mr. Thornton. Every day a little more of them slips away, and if someone does not fight for them, if someone does not believe in them, they are going to vanish completely. Is that what you want? Is that what Catherine would have wanted?" Marcus's hand shot out before he could stop himself. He grabbed Elena's arm, squeezed hard. "Do not say her name. You did not know her. You have no right to say her name." Elena did not flinch, did not pull away, just looked at him with those fierce, tear-filled eyes. "You are hurting me, Mr. Thornton." Marcus looked down at his hand, at his fingers digging into her arm, at the red marks already forming on her skin. He let go like he had been burned. "Get out," he said. His voice was barely a whisper. "Get out of my house." Elena rubbed her arm, looked at the boys one last time. Ethan was crying openly now. Noah's shoulders shook with silent sobs. "I am sorry, sweet boys," she said to them. "I am so sorry. I love you. I will always love you. Please do not forget that." She walked past Marcus without another word. Her footsteps echoed down the marble hallway. A door slammed somewhere in the depths of the house. Marcus was alone with his sons. He looked at them. Really looked at them. Ethan's face was blotchy with tears. His lower lip trembled. His hands gripped the arms of his wheelchair so hard that his small knuckles had turned white. Noah would not meet his father's eyes. He stared at the floor. His thin shoulders shook with sobs he was trying desperately to suppress. "It is going to be okay." Marcus's voice came out rough, unconvincing. Even he did not believe it. "Daddy is going to make everything okay." Neither boy responded. Marcus reached out to touch Ethan's cheek. The boy flinched away from his own father's touch. Marcus pulled his hand back like he had been slapped. He stood there for a long moment staring at his sons, feeling the weight of everything he had done wrong pressing down on him like a physical force. "I will send Mrs. Patterson to sit with you," he finally said. His voice sounded strange in his own ears, hollow, defeated. "I have some calls to make." He walked out of the therapy room, closed the door behind him, made it exactly 14 steps down the hallway before he had to stop and press his palm against the wall to keep himself from collapsing. His sons had flinched from his touch. His sons had reached for the housekeeper and flinched from their own father. What kind of man had he become? Marcus pressed his forehead against the cool wall, closed his eyes, tried to breathe. Catherine's face swam up from the darkness of his memory. Her smile, her laugh, the way she used to look at him when he came home from work like he was the only person in the world who mattered. "I am failing them, Kath," he whispered to the empty hallway. "I am failing our boys. I do not know what to do anymore. I do not know how to fix this." There was no answer. There never was. Catherine was gone, buried in a cemetery across town, and Marcus was alone with his grief and his guilt and his 2 broken sons who could not even look at him. He pushed himself off the wall, straightened his jacket, composed his face into the mask he wore for the world. The mask of the billionaire CEO, the man in control, the man who always knew what to do. He did not feel like any of those things right now. He felt like a lost child. Marcus walked to his study, poured himself a bourbon from the crystal decanter on his desk. Did not drink it, just held the glass and stared at the amber liquid like it might contain the answers he was looking for. The security monitor on his desk showed a grid of camera feeds from around the house. He glanced at it automatically. Saw Elena in her room throwing clothes into a suitcase, wiping tears from her face with the back of her hand. Good, he thought. Let her go. Let her take her false hope and her unqualified opinions and her grandmother's folk remedies and get out of his house. But even as he thought it, he knew he was lying to himself, because she had made them laugh. His sons, who had not smiled in 18 months, had been laughing when he walked through that door. Not just smiling, laughing, the kind of pure, joyful laughter that he thought he would never hear again, and he had destroyed it. Marcus set down the bourbon glass. His hand was shaking. He had destroyed the one moment of happiness his sons had experienced since the accident. He had fired the one person who had reached them. He had let his fear and his anger and his wounded pride override everything else. What kind of father did that make him? The answer was too painful to examine. His phone buzzed on the desk, a text from an unknown number. "Mr. Thornton, this is Elena. I borrowed Ethan's tablet to send this message because I do not have your personal number. I know you want me gone. I will be out of the house within the hour as you requested. But before I go, I need you to see something. Please check the security footage from the therapy room, the last 3 weeks, all of it. I know you have cameras in every room. Please watch what I have been doing with your sons. Not for me, for them, for Ethan and Noah. Please." Marcus stared at the message for a long moment. Then he turned to his computer and opened the security archives. The footage was organized by date and location. He scrolled back 3 weeks, found the first file labeled Therapy Room, and pressed play. The timestamp read 9:47 a.m., 3 weeks ago. The first day, Elena had been alone with the boys while Marcus was traveling. The twins sat in their wheelchairs by the large windows that overlooked the garden. They stared at nothing. Their faces were blank, empty, like dolls that had been propped up and forgotten. Elena entered the room carrying a tray of food. She set it on the table, looked at the boys. Her face softened with something that looked like sadness, or maybe compassion. She knelt in front of Ethan first. "Hello, sweetheart," she said. Her voice was gentle, patient, warm. "I made you macaroni and cheese for lunch today. I heard that is your favorite. I put extra cheese on top the way you like it, and I cut it into small bites so it will be easy to eat." No response. Ethan did not even look at her. Elena did not seem discouraged. She moved to Noah. "And for you, sweet boy, I made grilled cheese sandwiches, cut into triangles just like your mommy used to make them." Marcus's breath caught. Catherine had always cut Noah's sandwiches into triangles. It was a small thing, a tiny detail, but seeing this stranger remember it when Marcus himself had forgotten, it hurt in ways he could not name. Noah's eyes flickered. Just for a second. A tiny spark of recognition. Elena noticed it too. Her face lit up. "That is right, baby. Triangles. Just like Mommy. She told me, before she left. She told me all the things you boys like. She wanted to make sure someone would remember." Marcus paused the footage. His hand was trembling on the mouse. Catherine had talked to Elena about the boys, about their preferences, but that was impossible. Catherine had died 18 months ago. Elena had only been working here for 3 months. He pressed play again. "I know you cannot talk to me right now," Elena continued, "and that is okay. You do not have to say anything, but I am going to sit here with you while you eat if that is all right. I thought maybe you might like some company." She pulled up a small chair, positioned it between the 2 wheelchairs, sat down, and then she just stayed there. She did not push, did not prod, did not try to force conversation or interaction. She just sat with them present and patient, humming softly under her breath. Marcus watched the timestamp advance. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. After 23 minutes, Noah's eyes moved to Elena's face. Just for a moment, just a glance. Elena smiled at him. Not a big performative smile, just a small, genuine curve of her lips. "There you are," she whispered. "I see you, sweet boy. I see you." Noah's gaze lingered on her face for a moment longer. Then he looked away again. But something had happened. Something small, something that Marcus in all his grief and guilt had missed entirely. His son had looked at another human being. Marcus fast-forwarded. Day 2, Day 3, Day 4. Each day, Elena sat with the boys. Each day, she talked to them, sang to them, told them stories. She never pushed, never demanded, never showed frustration when they did not respond. On Day 5, she started telling them about her brother Daniel. "He was just a little older than you when he had his accident," she said. 12 years old. He loved skateboarding. He was really good at it, too. He could do all these tricks that I never could. I was always too scared to try." Ethan's eyes moved to her face. The first time he had looked at anyone since Marcus could remember. But one day, Danny tried a trick that was too hard. He fell off his skateboard and landed on his back, broke his spine. The doctor said he would never walk again. Elena paused. Her eyes grew distant with memory. "I remember sitting in the hospital holding his hand, watching him sleep. He looked so small in that big bed, so fragile. I prayed and prayed for God to heal him. I said, 'God, please do not take my brother's legs. Please give him a chance.'" Marcus found himself leaning closer to the screen. "My grandmother came to the hospital that night. She was tiny, my grandma, only 5 feet tall, but she walked into that room like a general walking onto a battlefield. She looked at Daniel, looked at all those machines and tubes and monitors, and she said, 'Okay, mijo, we have work to do.'" Elena smiled at the memory. "Everyone thought she was crazy. The doctors told her Daniel would never walk. His spinal cord was too damaged. There was nothing anyone could do, but my grandmother just looked at them and said, 'The doctors are not God. Only God decides what is possible. Marcus pressed pause, rewound, watched again. The doctors are not God. Only God decides what is possible. He had not prayed since Catherine died. He had not set foot in a church. He had not spoken to God or about God or thought about God in any meaningful way. He had been too angry, too broken, too convinced that any God who would take his wife and cripple his sons was not a God worth believing in. But watching Elena talk about her grandmother, watching the light in her eyes as she described this tiny woman who refused to accept the impossible, Marcus felt something stir in his chest, something that had been dormant for a very long time. He pressed play. Day 7. Elena was still telling stories about Daniel and Grandma Rosa. The boys were engaged now, not speaking but listening. Their eyes followed Elena's face. Their bodies leaned toward her. Grandma Rosa worked with Danny every single day, Elena said. Morning and night, she would massage his legs and move them and stretch them. She said the body has memory just like the mind. She said even if the brain forgets how to walk, the muscles remember. We just have to wake them up. On day 10, Elena moved the boys to the mat for the first time. Marcus's heart rate spiked as he watched her lift Ethan out of his wheelchair, carefully, so carefully cradling his thin body against her chest. "I am going to put you on the mat now, sweetheart," she said. "It is nice and soft. You're going to be comfortable, I promise." She laid him down gently, adjusted a pillow under his head, covered his legs with a light blanket. Then she went back for Noah. Both boys lay on the mat now, side by side. They looked scared, but also curious. Their eyes darted around the room, taking in this new perspective. Elena sat down beside them. "How does that feel?" she asked. "Different, right?" "You have been sitting in those chairs for so long. I bet you forgot what it feels like to lie down somewhere other than your beds." Ethan's hand moved, just a little, a small reaching motion toward Elena. She took his hand, held it gently. "I am right here, baby. I am not going anywhere." Marcus watched as Elena began to massage Ethan's legs. Her movements were slow, careful, deliberate. She narrated everything she did. "I am going to touch your knee now, okay? Just a gentle touch. There you go. Can you feel that? Can you feel my hands? Good boy. That is so good." She worked her way down to his ankle, his foot. Grandma Rosa used to say the feet are the most important part. She said if you can get the feet to respond, the rest will follow. She said the feet are like the foundation of a house. If the foundation is strong, the whole house can stand. Elena rotated Ethan's ankle in slow circles, flexed his toes gently. "Come on, sweetheart. I know you're in there. I know your body wants to move. We just have to remind it how." Nothing happened. The toes stayed still, but Elena did not look discouraged. She just smiled and moved to Noah. Day 11, day 12, day 13. Marcus watched the footage at accelerated speed, slowing down whenever something significant seemed to happen. Elena's patience was remarkable. She never got frustrated, never showed disappointment, never gave up. On day 14, Noah's foot moved. Marcus sat up straight in his chair. Elena had Noah's foot in her hands. She was rotating his ankle the same way she did every day, and then suddenly his toes curled. Just a tiny movement, just a small flex, but it happened. Elena's eyes went wide, her hands stilled on Noah's foot. "Noah," she breathed. "Oh my God, Noah, did you feel that? Did you feel what you just did?" Noah looked at his own foot, confusion and wonder mixed on his small face. "You moved, baby. You moved your toes, all by yourself." Elena's tears spilled over. She lifted Noah's foot to her lips and kissed it gently. "Thank you, God," she whispered. "Thank you. I knew you were listening. I knew you would not give up on these boys." Marcus paused the footage. His own eyes were burning. His throat had closed up. His son had moved. His paralyzed son, who every doctor said would never move again, had flexed his toes. He pressed play. He had to see more. Day 15. Day 16. Day 17. Each day, Elena worked with the boys. Each day, there was progress. Small, incremental, miraculous progress. Noah's toes moved more consistently now. His ankle could rotate slightly on its own. And then on day 17, it happened. Ethan's toes flexed. Elena was singing that day. Some silly song about a frog and a log. Her voice was terrible off-key and wobbly, but she sang with complete commitment. She was working on Ethan's foot when his toes suddenly curled. Elena stopped singing. Her mouth fell open. "Ethan, oh Ethan, did you feel that?" Ethan looked at his foot. Then he looked at Elena, and he smiled. A real smile. The kind that lit up his whole face. The kind that Marcus had not seen since before the accident. Marcus pressed pause. The image froze on the screen. His son smiling, reaching for Elena's hand. He could not breathe. He could not think. He could only stare at that frozen image and feel the full weight of what he had done. He had thrown this woman out of his house. He had threatened to have her arrested. He had grabbed her arm hard enough to leave bruises. And she was the only person who had given his sons hope in 18 months. Marcus jumped to his feet. The chair flew backward and crashed into the bookshelf behind him. He did not care. He was already running. Down the hallway, past the startled night nurse, through the kitchen, to the back stairs that led to the staff quarters. Elena's door was open. The room was empty. The closet was empty. The bathroom was empty. She was gone. Marcus ran to the front of the house, threw open the main door. The circular driveway stretched before him, illuminated by the soft glow of landscape lighting. Empty. No car, no taxi, no Elena. She was gone. No. The word came out broken. No, no, no. He pulled out his phone. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely unlock the screen. He tried to call the number she had texted from, but it went straight to voicemail. Of course it did. It was Ethan's tablet, and it was probably sitting in the therapy room where she had left it. Marcus sank onto the front steps of his $15 million mansion. The cold Boston night wrapped around him. He had not even grabbed a coat. He did not care. The chill was nothing compared to the ice that had formed in his chest. He had made a terrible mistake. The worst mistake of his life. His phone buzzed in his hand. He looked at the screen, hoping, praying it was Elena. It was a text from his assistant. Your mother called. She says she needs to see you urgently. She will be at the house at 9 a.m. tomorrow. She said it concerns the children. Marcus closed his eyes. Victoria Thornton. His mother. The woman who had an opinion about everything and a tolerance for nothing. The woman who had never approved of Catherine had barely tolerated his marriage. Jen now apparently had concerns about how he was raising his children. Tomorrow was going to be a nightmare. But right now, Marcus only cared about one thing. Finding Elena Reyes. He stood up, wiped his face, pulled himself together with the same iron will that had built a billion-dollar empire. He was Marcus Thornton. He had resources. He had connections. He had the ability to find anyone anywhere at any time. Elena could not have gone far. She had no car. She had very little money. She had nowhere to go except back to whatever life she had before she walked through his door 3 months ago. He pulled up his contacts, found his head of security, pressed call. Mr. Thornton. The voice was groggy. It was after midnight. Is everything all right? I need you to find someone for me. Her name is Elena Reyes. She was employed here until tonight. 29 years old. I need her current address, her phone number, her family contacts. Everything you can find. Sir, has she stolen something? Should I contact the police? No, nothing like that. I just need to find her. Tonight. I will do my best, sir. Give me an hour. Marcus hung up, walked back into the house, went to check on his sons. They were asleep in their beds. The night nurse sat in the corner reading a magazine, looking up briefly when Marcus entered. How are they? He asked. Restless? The nurse replied. They had trouble falling asleep. I think they were upset about something. About something. Like their father had not just fired the only person who made them happy. Like he had not just destroyed the fragile beginning of a miracle. Marcus stood between his sons' beds, looked down at their sleeping faces. Ethan clutched a stuffed elephant that Catherine had given him for his 3rd birthday. Noah's thumb rested near his mouth, a habit he had never quite broken. They looked so small, so fragile, so alone. I am sorry, Marcus whispered. I am so sorry for everything. Neither boy stirred. They slept on, unaware that their father was breaking apart above them. His phone rang. He stepped out of the room to answer it. I found an address for Ms. Reyes, his security chief said. She is listed at an apartment building in Dorchester, 142 Morrison Street, Unit 3B. Thank you. I am going there now. Sir, it is nearly 1 a.m. Perhaps this could wait until morning. No, it cannot wait. Marcus hung up, grabbed his car keys from the hook by the door, walked through the house to the garage. His Mercedes started with a whisper. The gate opened automatically. He pulled onto the dark, empty streets and headed toward Dorchester. The drive took 25 minutes. The neighborhood changed as he went. Beacon Hill gave way to the more modest streets of South Boston, then to the working-class blocks of Dorchester. The houses grew smaller, the cars grew older, the streetlights grew fewer. His Mercedes looked obscenely out of place here. He found 142 Morrison Street, a tired brick building with a rusted fire escape climbing up the side. No doorman, no security. Just a row of buzzers beside a metal door that had seen better days. Marcus got out of the car. The cold hit him immediately. He still had not grabbed a coat. He walked to the door, found 3B on the buzzer panel, pressed the button. No answer. He pressed it again. Longer this time. Still nothing. A man walked by on the sidewalk eyeing Marcus's expensive suit with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity. "You looking for someone?" "Elena Reyes, Unit 3B. Do you know if she is home?" The man shrugged. "Saw her come in about half an hour ago. Looked upset. Had a suitcase with her. Probably does not want company." "I need to see her. It is important." The man studied Marcus for a long moment. Whatever he saw in Marcus's face must have convinced him. "Third floor, end of the hall. But if I hear her scream, I am calling the cops." "Fair enough." The man held the door open. Marcus climbed the stairs. The building smelled like old carpet and cooked cabbage. Water stains marked the ceiling. A fluorescent light flickered at the end of the third-floor hallway. He found 3B, knocked, nothing. He knocked again, louder. "Elena, it is Marcus Thornton. Please, I need to talk to you." Silence. "I watched the footage, all of it. I saw what you did for my sons. I saw them move. I saw them smile. I saw everything." Still nothing. Marcus pressed his palm against the door, lowered his voice. "I was wrong. I was so wrong about everything. You were helping them. You were the only one helping them. And I threw you out like a criminal. I grabbed your arm. I threatened you. I behaved like a monster." He paused, swallowed hard. "Please, Elena, please let me in. Let me apologize. Let me make this right." The door opened. Elena stood there, in sweatpants and an old t-shirt. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. She looked exhausted, defeated, beautiful. "How did you find me?" "I have resources." "Of course you do." A ghost of a smile crossed her face. "Billionaire." "Can I come in?" Elena hesitated. Her hand rested on the doorframe like she was ready to slam it shut at any moment. Then she stepped back and opened the door wider. The apartment was tiny. One room that served as living room, bedroom, and kitchen. A bathroom behind a thin door with a crooked handle. A window that looked out onto a dark alley. This was where she lived. This was where she went home every night after spending her days in his mansion. The contrast was staggering. "Nice place," Marcus said, then immediately wished he had not. "It is not much, but it is mine." Elena crossed her arms. "Why are you here, Mr. Thornton?" "I told you, I watched the footage. And I was wrong." Marcus met her eyes. "About everything. You were helping them, really helping them, and I threw you out like you were a danger to them." "You grabbed my arm." Elena's voice was flat. "You threatened to call the police on me." "I know, there is no excuse for that. I was scared. I saw my sons on the floor out of their wheelchairs, and I panicked. All I could think was that something bad was happening to them, that I was failing to protect them again. I would never hurt those boys. I know that now. I think I knew it then too. I could not see it. I could not see past my own fear." Elena sat down on her worn sofa. The springs creaked under her slight weight. "It does not matter anymore," she said. "What is done is done." "It is not done." Marcus took a step toward her. "Come back, please. The boys need you." "You fired me." "I was wrong." "You said I was a danger to your children." "I was wrong about that too." "You said you should have me arrested." "Elena," Marcus's voice cracked. He did not care. He was past caring about his pride or his dignity or his carefully constructed mask. "I have spent the last 18 months watching my sons disappear. Every day a little more of them slips away. They do not talk. They do not smile. They barely even look at me anymore. And tonight, for the first time since the accident, I heard them laugh. Because of you." He took another step, knelt in front of her, his designer pants pressing into the worn carpet. "You gave me back hope. Hope that I thought was dead. Hope that every doctor and specialist and expert told me was foolish. You made my sons smile again. You made their toes move. You believed in them when I had stopped believing." Elena looked at him. Her eyes were still guarded, but something had shifted in them, something that might have been compassion. "And I need you to know," Marcus continued, "what you said to me in the therapy room about making myself someone worth reaching for. You were right. You were absolutely right. I have been so focused on fixing my sons that I forgot to be their father. I have been so buried in my grief over Catherine that I forgot I still have 2 children who need me." His voice broke completely. "Please come back, not just for the boys. I need someone to teach me how to be their father again. I need someone who will not give up on any of us. Please." Elena was silent for a long moment. The clock on her wall ticked loudly in the stillness. Then she spoke. "Tell me about Catherine." The request caught Marcus off guard. "What?" "Your wife. Tell me about her. I want to understand." Marcus sat back on his heels, looked at the floor, tried to find the words. "Catherine was... she was everything I am not. Warm where I am cold. Open where I am closed. She could walk into a room full of strangers and make everyone feel like they had known her forever." He smiled slightly at the memory. "We met at a charity gala. I was there because my mother expected me to be. Catherine was there because she genuinely cared about the cause. She walked up to me, told me my tie was crooked, fixed it without asking permission, and then said, 'You look like someone who needs to laugh more. Want to hear a joke?' What was the joke? Terrible. Something about a businessman and a talking parrot. I do not even remember the punchline, but I laughed harder than I had laughed in years." Marcus's smile faded. "We got married 8 months later. My mother hated her, said she was not from the right family, did not have the right connections, was not suitable for a Thornton. Catherine did not care. She said, 'I am not marrying your family, Marcus. I am marrying you.'" "She sounds wonderful." "She was." Marcus's voice dropped to a whisper. "She was the best thing that ever happened to me. And when she died, when that drunk driver took her from us, something inside me died too." He looked up at Elena. "I stopped being Marcus. I became Mr. Thornton's CEO billionaire, the man in control. I buried my grief so deep that I thought it could not touch me anymore. But all I really did was bury myself along with it. And your sons, I looked at them and all I saw was Catherine. They have her eyes, her smile, her laugh. Every time I looked at them, I felt like I was losing her all over again, so I stopped looking." The admission hung in the air between them. "I am not proud of it," Marcus said. "I am not making excuses. I am just telling you the truth. I failed my sons because I was too broken to save them. I was too lost in my own grief to see that they were drowning too." Elena reached out, touched his cheek gently. "That is the first honest thing you have said since I met you. Is it enough for you to come back? I have conditions. Name them. First, you let me continue the therapy sessions with the boys. No interference, no second guessing. You let me do what I know how to do. Done. Second, you participate. You sit with them. You learn what I'm doing. You become part of their healing, not just a spectator. No more hiding in meetings while your sons need their father." Marcus hesitated. That would mean being present, being vulnerable, being the father he had not been in 18 months. "Done," he said. "Third, we tell Dr. Reed about what I am doing. We document everything. We make sure we are not accidentally hurting them. I believe in what I am doing, but I am not too proud to ask for help from people who know more than I do." I was already planning to call him first thing in the morning. "And fourth," Elena paused. Her eyes held his. "You talk to me. Really talk. Not as Mr. Thornton the billionaire to Elena the housekeeper. As Marcus. As a father. As a man who is trying to find his way back to his children." Marcus nodded slowly. "I will try. I am not very good at talking, but I will try." Elena studied his face for a long moment. Whatever she was looking for, she seemed to find it. "Then I will pack my bag again." Relief flooded through Marcus so fast it nearly knocked him over. "I can wait. Drive you back." "In that Mercedes, in this neighborhood," Elena glanced out the window. "It is a miracle it still has wheels." Marcus followed her gaze. His car sat untouched at the curb, gleaming under the dim streetlight like a diamond in a coal mine. "It is insured." For the first time, Elena laughed. A real laugh, warm and bright and genuine. It was a beautiful sound, almost as beautiful as his son's laughter had been earlier that day. She stood up and began gathering her things. Marcus watched her move around the tiny apartment, throwing clothes into her suitcase, grabbing toiletries from the bathroom, checking under the bed to make sure she had not forgotten anything. "How long have you lived here?" he asked. 3 years, since I moved to Boston." "Where were you before?" "Los Angeles. That is where I grew up. That is where my grandmother was when she worked with Daniel." "Why did you come to Boston?" Elena paused in her packing. "I needed a fresh start. Sometimes you have to leave everything behind to figure out who you really are." There was more to that story Marcus could tell, but he did not push. She would tell him when she was ready. Or she would not. Either way, he would respect her boundaries. They drove back to Beacon Hill in silence. Elena sat in the passenger seat, her small suitcase in the back. The city lights reflected off the rain-slicked streets, creating pools of color that rippled and shifted as they passed. When they pulled through the gate of the Thornton mansion, Elena took a deep breath. "I never thought I would see this place again." "I am glad you are seeing it now." They went inside. The house was quiet. The night nurse met them in the hallway, looking confused and slightly annoyed at being disturbed again. "Mr. Thornton, I thought Ms. Reyes was terminated." "Change of plans. Elena is staying. We will discuss the new arrangements in the morning." The nurse nodded, clearly unsatisfied, but unwilling to argue with her employer at 2 a.m. Elena went upstairs to check on the boys. Marcus followed, keeping his distance. The twins were still asleep in their beds. The nightlights cast soft shadows across the walls. Ethan clutched his stuffed elephant. Noah had rolled onto his side, one hand tucked under his cheek. Elena stood between their beds, looking down at them with such tenderness that Marcus felt his heart crack open a little more. "They are going to be so happy to see you in the morning," he whispered. "I hope so." "They will be. You are the first person they have reached for in 18 months. Elena turned to look at him. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Then let us make sure they have someone worth reaching for," she said. "Both of us." Marcus nodded. It was a promise. A vow. A beginning. He walked Elena to her room. Stood in the doorway as she set down her suitcase and looked around the space like she was seeing it for the first time. "Thank you," he said, "for giving me a second chance." "Thank you for asking for one." She closed the door softly. Marcus stood there for a moment, staring at the polished wood, thinking about everything that had happened in the last few hours. Then he went to his study, poured himself another bourbon, did not drink it. He had too much to think about, too much to plan, too much to prepare for. His mother was coming at 9. Victoria Thornton, with her opinions and her judgments and her certainty that she always knew best. She would not approve of Elena. She would not approve of the unorthodox therapy. She would not approve of anything that did not fit within her narrow definition of proper and appropriate. But Marcus did not care. He had seen his son smile. He had seen their toes move. He had seen the first glimmer of hope in 18 months of darkness, and he was going to fight for it. He was going to fight for Elena, for Ethan, for Noah, for the family he still had, even if it was broken and damaged and scarred, for the man he had been before grief consumed him, for Catherine, who would have wanted him to be strong. Marcus picked up the bourbon glass. This time, he drank. The liquid burned, going down, warming his chest, steadying his nerves. Tomorrow would bring challenges, confrontations, battles he was not sure he knew how to win. But tonight, for the first time in 18 months, he felt something other than despair. He felt hope, and he was going to hold on to it with everything he had. The morning came too fast. Marcus had not slept at all. He sat in his study watching the sun rise over Boston, the amber light spilling through the windows like honey, and he felt every minute of the sleepless night in his bones. At 6:47 a.m. he heard movement upstairs. Elena was awake. At 7:15 a.m. he heard something that made him set down his coffee cup and walk toward the stairs. Laughter. His sons were laughing again. Marcus climbed the stairs slowly, not wanting to interrupt, not wanting to shatter the moment like he had done yesterday. He stopped outside the boys' room and listened. And then what happened? Elena's voice warm and playful. A sound. A small sound. Almost like a word. Marcus's heart stopped. "That is right, Ethan. The frog jumped into the pond. Can you say pond? Can you try for me?" Silence. Then a noise. Something that sounded almost like pa. "Oh, sweetheart, that was so good. That was so good. Did you hear that Noah, your brother, is trying to talk? Can you try too? Can you say frog?" Another sound. Higher pitched. Noah's voice. Marcus pressed his hand against his mouth to keep from crying out. His sons were making sounds. Intentional sounds. Sounds that were trying to become words. He pushed open the door. Elena looked up. The boys were on their beds, sitting up, their faces bright with effort and joy. When they saw their father, something flickered across their expressions. Uncertainty, fear. Marcus felt that like a knife in his chest. "Good morning," he said softly. "I heard laughing. I wanted to see what was so funny." Ethan looked at Elena, then back at his father. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. "Fur," he said. "Frog." Marcus dropped to his knees beside the bed. Tears streamed down his face, unchecked. "Frog," he whispered. "Yes, buddy." "Frog. That is exactly right." Ethan's face transformed. The uncertainty melted away, replaced by something Marcus had not seen in 18 months. Pride. His son was proud of himself. "Can you say it again? Can you say frog for daddy?" Ethan looked at Elena. She nodded encouragingly. "Frog?" Ethan said. Clearer this time. More confident. Marcus gathered his son into his arms and held him tight. He could feel Ethan's thin body trembling, could feel the boy's arms slowly, hesitantly wrapping around his neck. For the first time in 18 months, his son was hugging him back. "I am so proud of you," Marcus choked out. "I am so proud of you." Noah made a sound, a demanding sound. He wanted attention too. Marcus reached for him with one arm, pulling both boys close, holding them against his chest like he would never let go. "I am proud of both of you," he said. "My brave, strong boys. I am so sorry I have not been here. I am so sorry I have not been the daddy you needed. But I am here now. I am not going anywhere." Elena stood quietly by the window watching. Her eyes were wet, but she was smiling. This was what she had been working toward. This was why she had refused to give up. At 8:45 a.m., the doorbell rang. Marcus felt his stomach clench. His mother was early. Of course she was early. Victoria Thornton was never late for anything. But she was often early when she wanted to catch people off guard. "Stay here with the boys," he told Elena. "I will handle this." "Mr. Thornton," Elena caught his arm. "Whatever happens down there, do not let her make you doubt what you saw this morning. Your son said a word, his first word in 18 months. That is real. That is a miracle. Do not let anyone take that away." Marcus nodded, squared his shoulders, walked downstairs to face his mother. Victoria Thornton stood in the foyer like a queen surveying her kingdom. She wore a cream-colored suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. Her silver hair was perfectly coiffed. Her jewelry was understated but unmistakably expensive. Her eyes were the same cold blue that Marcus saw in his own mirror every morning. "Mother?" "Marcus?" She offered her cheek for a kiss. He obliged, feeling nothing. "You look terrible. Have you slept at all?" "It has been a difficult night." "I imagine so." Victoria's eyes swept the room. "Cataloging everything, judging everything." "Where are my grandsons?" "Upstairs, with Elena." "Ah, yes, Elena." Victoria's voice could have frozen water. "The housekeeper who has been conducting unauthorized medical experiments on your children. I assume that is why you look like you have not slept. Damage control." "It is not what you think." "Then enlighten me, Marcus, because what I have heard is deeply concerning." "How did you even find out about this?" Victoria smiled thinly. "I have friends everywhere, darling. Patricia Whitmore's daughter works at Boston Children's Hospital. She mentioned that Dr. Reed received an unusual call yesterday about your boys. Something about a housekeeper who claimed to be making them walk again." Marcus felt his blood pressure spike. "That is not accurate." "Then what is accurate?" Before Marcus could answer, a sound came from the top of the stairs. A small voice, thin but determined. "Daddy." Both Marcus and Victoria looked up. Ethan sat at the top of the staircase in his wheelchair, Elena standing behind him. The boy's face was scrunched with effort. "Daddy," he said again. Come back." Victoria's face went pale. "He spoke," she breathed. "Marcus, he spoke." "Yes, Mother, he did. This morning, for the first time since the accident." Marcus started up the stairs. Because of Elena, because she refused to give up on him when everyone else, including me, had stopped trying. Victoria stood frozen in the foyer as Marcus climbed to his son. She watched him kneel beside the wheelchair, watched him take Ethan's hands, watched the boy lean forward and press his forehead against his father's. "I am here, buddy," Marcus said. "I am right here." Victoria climbed the stairs slowly, as if in a dream. She stopped a few feet away from the wheelchair, staring at her grandson like she had never seen him before. "Ethan," she said. Her voice was strange, uncertain. "Ethan, darling, can you say Grandma?" Ethan looked at her. Then he looked at Elena. Elena nodded gently. "It is okay, sweetheart. You can try." "Grr." Ethan struggled with the sound. "Grandma." Victoria's hand flew to her chest. For a moment, Marcus thought she might actually faint. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Oh my dear God." She turned to Elena. Her eyes were wide, searching, confused. "How?" she demanded. "How did you do this?" "I did not do anything, Mrs. Thornton. Ethan did the work. I just believed he could." "That is not an answer." "It is the only answer I have." Victoria stared at Elena for a long moment. Marcus could see the wheels turning in his mother's head, could see her trying to fit this impossible situation into her ordered worldview. "I want to see him do it again," Victoria said. "I want to see him walk." "He cannot walk yet, Mother. He is just beginning to speak." "But you said the housekeeper was making him walk. Patricia said Dr. Reed was told they were walking." His toes moved. His legs showed muscle response. That is not the same as walking, but it is a start. It is more progress than any specialist has achieved in 18 months. Victoria's jaw tightened. "I want to speak with Dr. Reed myself. I want to see the medical evidence." "That can be arranged. I was planning to take the boys to see him today anyway." "Good." Victoria turned to Elena. "And I want to speak with you, privately, about your qualifications and your methods and exactly what you think you are doing with my grandsons." Elena met Victoria's gaze without flinching. "I would be happy to answer any questions you have, Mrs. Thornton." "It is not a request." "I did not take it as one." The two women stared at each other. Marcus felt the tension crackling between them, like electricity before a storm. "Mother," he said carefully, "perhaps we could have this conversation after breakfast. The boys have not eaten yet, and I think everyone would benefit from some food and coffee." Victoria's eyes remained locked on Elena's for another long moment. Then she nodded curtly. "Fine. Breakfast. But then we are going to have a very serious discussion about the future of this household." At 10:30 a.m., Marcus sat in Dr. William Hayes' office at Boston Children's Hospital. Elena sat beside him. Victoria sat on his other side, her posture rigid with disapproval. The boys were in the examination room next door, being evaluated by Dr. Hayes and his team. They had been in there for over an hour. "This is taking too long," Victoria said. "Something must be wrong." "Tests take time, Mother. Or perhaps the doctors are discovering that this so-called miracle is nothing but wishful thinking." Elena's hands tightened in her lap, but she said nothing. The door opened. Dr. Hayes walked in, followed by a younger woman in a white coat who Marcus did not recognize. "Mr. Thornton, Mrs. Thornton, Ms. Reyes?" Dr. Hayes nodded at each of them in turn. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen, our head of pediatric neurology. I asked her to consult on the case." Marcus's stomach dropped. "Is something wrong?" "No." Dr. Hayes smiled slightly. "Something is very, very right, and frankly, none of us can explain it." He pulled up a series of images on the computer screen. Brain scans, nerve conduction studies, muscle response charts. "These are the tests we ran on Ethan and Noah 6 weeks ago," he said. "As you can see, there was minimal nerve activity in the lower extremities. Muscle response was essentially non-existent. The prognosis was consistent with what we have been telling you for 18 months. He clicked to a new set of images. "These are the tests we ran this morning." Even Marcus, with no medical training, could see the difference. The second set of images was brighter, more active, filled with colors and patterns that the first set lacked entirely. "What am I looking at?" Victoria demanded. "You are looking at nerve regeneration, Mrs. Thornton." Dr. Chen spoke for the first time. Her voice was calm but tinged with wonder. "In both boys, their spinal nerves are showing signs of healing that should not be possible given the extent of their original injuries." "Should not be possible." Marcus leaned forward. "What does that mean?" "It means that according to everything we know about spinal cord injuries, this should not be happening. The nerves in your son's spines were severely damaged. Nerve tissue does not typically regenerate. Once it is destroyed, it stays destroyed. But it is regenerating." "Yes, in both boys. More significantly in Ethan, but Noah is showing similar patterns." Dr. Chen shook her head slowly. "I have been practicing pediatric neurology for 15 years. I have never seen anything like this." Victoria turned to Elena. "What did you do to them?" "I did not do anything medical, Mrs. Thornton. I just moved their legs, stretched their muscles, massaged the areas around their spines. My grandmother used to say that the body wants to heal, we just have to remind it how. That is not a scientific explanation." "No, it is not. But I am not a scientist. I am just someone who refused to accept that those boys would never move again." Dr. Hayes cleared his throat. "Whatever the explanation, the results are undeniable. Ethan is showing significant improvement in nerve function. His muscle response has increased dramatically, and as you witnessed this morning, he is beginning to speak again." "What about walking?" Marcus asked. "Will they ever walk?" Dr. Hayes and Dr. Chen exchanged a look. "We cannot make any promises," Dr. Hayes said carefully, "but based on what we are seeing today, I would not rule anything out. If this level of improvement continues, it is possible, not certain, but possible that both boys could regain some degree of mobility." Marcus closed his eyes. He could not speak. He could not think. The hope that had been building in his chest since last night was now threatening to overwhelm him completely. "I want to be clear," Dr. Chen added. "We do not understand why this is happening. We cannot attribute it to any specific treatment or intervention, but I would strongly recommend that Miss Reyes continue whatever she has been doing, and I would like to document her methods so we can study them further." Victoria's face was a mask of conflicting emotions: pride at her grandson's improvement, confusion at the inexplicable nature of it, resentment at being proven wrong. "Fine," she said finally. "Continue the treatment, but I want weekly reports. I want to be kept informed of every development, and I want it understood that if anything at all is wrong, I will hold everyone in this room personally responsible." "Understood, Mrs. Thornton," Dr. Hayes said. Victoria stood. "I need some air." She walked out of the office without another word. Through the window, Marcus watched her pace the hallway, her phone pressed to her ear, already making calls. "She is going to be a problem," Elena said quietly. "She is always a problem, but she will not interfere, not after what she saw today." "Are you sure about that?" Marcus was not sure. He was not sure about anything when it came to his mother, but he was sure about one thing. "It does not matter what she does. You are staying. The boys need you. I need you. And nothing my mother says or does is going to change that." Elena looked at him for a long moment. Something passed between them. An understanding. A connection. "Okay," she said. "Then let us go see the boys." At 2:15 p.m. they were back at the mansion. The boys were exhausted from the testing and had fallen asleep in their wheelchairs on the drive home. Marcus carried Ethan to his bed while Elena carried Noah. Victoria had not returned with them. She had muttered something about appointments and driven away in her silver Mercedes, leaving Marcus to wonder what schemes she was already putting into motion. He stood in the doorway of his son's room, watching them sleep, feeling something he had not felt in 18 months. Peace. Not complete peace. Not the peace he had known before the accident, but a small, fragile peace that felt like the first green shoot pushing through frozen soil. "They are going to be okay," Elena said softly, coming to stand beside him. "How do you know?" "Because they are fighters, just like their mother was." Marcus turned to look at her. "You never met Catherine." "No, but I know her through them. I see her in the way Ethan scrunches his nose when he concentrates. I see her in the way Noah reaches for people when he wants comfort. I see her in everything they do." Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. "She would have liked you." "I hope so." "She would have. She always said I needed someone to challenge me, someone who was not afraid to tell me when I was being an idiot." "Am I that person?" "You might be." They stood in silence for a moment, watching the boys sleep. Then Marcus's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Mr. Thornton, this is Dr. Sarah Chen. I need to speak with you privately. There is something I did not mention in the meeting. Something about your son's case that concerns me. Please call me as soon as possible." Marcus's blood went cold. "What is it?" Elena asked, seeing his expression change. "I do not know, but I have a feeling the other shoe is about to drop." He stepped out of the room to make the call. Dr. Chen answered on the first ring. "Mr. Thornton, thank you for calling back so quickly." "What is it, doctor? What did you not tell us?" A pause. Then Dr. Chen spoke, her voice careful and measured. "When we were running the tests this morning, we noticed something unusual, not in your son's results, but in the hospital's system. Someone has been accessing their medical records, repeatedly, over the past 2 weeks." "Who?" "We do not know yet. The access was made through a back door in our system. It is investigating, but so far they have not been able to trace the source." "What kind of information were they accessing?" "Everything. Treatment histories, prognosis reports, Dr. Hayes' personal notes, even the records of every specialist who has ever consulted on the case." Marcus's mind raced. Who would want that information, and why? "There is more," Dr. Chen continued. "This morning before your appointment, I received a call from a woman who claimed to be a journalist. She was asking questions about alternative treatments for spinal cord injuries. Specifically, she mentioned a case involving twin boys and an unqualified caregiver who claimed to be achieving miraculous results." "What did you tell her?" "Nothing. Patient confidentiality. But Mr. Thornton, someone is looking into your family, someone who knows things they should not know." Marcus thought of his mother, her phone call in the hallway, her muttered words about appointments. "Thank you for telling me, Dr. Chen. I will look into it." He hung up. Stood in the hallway, his mind churning. Someone was investigating his family. Someone was accessing private medical records. Someone was asking questions about Elena's methods. This was not a coincidence. This was a coordinated effort to find something, to expose something, to destroy something. But who and why? The answer came to him like a lightning bolt. His mother. It had to be his mother. Victoria Thornton did not accept things she could not control. She did not tolerate situations that made her look foolish or uninformed. And she certainly did not approve of working-class housekeepers who achieved results that wealthy specialists could not. She was not just accepting Elena's presence. She was building a case against her, gathering evidence, preparing an attack. Marcus pulled out his phone and dialed his mother's number. She answered on the third ring. "Marcus, I was just about to call you. Were you Mother Y to tell me about the journalist you sent to Dr. Chen or the hacker you hired to access my son's medical records?" Silence on the other end of the line. "I do not know what you are talking about." "Do not lie to me. I know you. I know how you operate. You cannot stand that Elena is helping the boys when your precious specialists failed. So you are trying to discredit her, to find some scandal or secret that will force me to fire her." "Marcus, you are being paranoid." "Am I?" "Then explain to me how a journalist knew about Elena's methods before we even went to the hospital today. Explain how someone has been accessing sealed medical records for the past 2 weeks. Explain why you suddenly had appointments the moment the tests came back positive." Another long silence. Then Victoria spoke, her voice cold and controlled. "You think you know everything, Marcus. You always have. But you are blinded by desperation. You want so badly to believe that this woman can save your sons that you are ignoring the obvious questions. Where did she come from? What is her real background? Why is she so invested in your children?" "She told me her story. Her brother had a similar injury. Her grandmother helped him recover. And you believed her, without verification, without checking her references, without doing any due diligence at all." Marcus hesitated. He had not checked. He had been so moved by her story, so desperate for hope, that he had taken everything she said at face value. "I am not trying to hurt your children, Marcus." Victoria's voice softened slightly. "I am trying to protect them. And I am trying to protect you. This woman appeared in your life at a very convenient time. She has access to your home, your children, your entire life. And you know nothing about her except what she has chosen to tell you. What are you suggesting?" "I am suggesting that before you stake your son's futures on this woman, you find out who she really is. I have already started making inquiries. I should have results within 24 hours. Mother, I do not want you digging into Elena's past." "That is too bad, darling, because I already am. And if there is nothing to find, then you have nothing to worry about. But if there is something, if she is not who she claims to be, then you will thank me for uncovering it before she did any real damage." Victoria hung up. Marcus stood in the hallway, his phone clutched in his hand, his mind reeling. Was his mother right? Had he been so desperate for hope that he had ignored basic precautions? Did he really know anything about Elena Reyes beyond what she had told him? He thought about her story, her brother Daniel, her grandmother Rosa, the skateboarding accident, the 2 years of rehabilitation, the marathon running. It was a beautiful story, an inspiring story. But was it true? Marcus walked to his study, sat down at his computer, opened a search engine. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. He could verify everything right now. A few searches, a few phone calls, and he would know the truth about Elena Reyes. But something stopped him. If he did this, if he investigated her behind her back, he would be betraying her trust. He would be doing exactly what his mother wanted, treating Elena as a suspect rather than a partner. And if she found out, if she learned that he had been checking up on her, any trust they had built would be destroyed. But if his mother was right, if there was something in Elena's past that she was hiding, then his sons could be in danger. Marcus closed his eyes. Catherine's face swam up from his memory. "What would you do?" he whispered. "What would you tell me to do?" The answer came immediately in Catherine's voice, as clear as if she were standing beside him. "Ask her. Just ask her. Give her the chance to tell you herself." Marcus stood up, left his study, climbed the stairs to Elena's room. He knocked on the door. "Come in." She was sitting on her bed, still in the clothes she had worn to the hospital. She looked tired, worried. "Mr. Thornton, is something wrong?" "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." Elena's face went still. "Okay." "My mother is investigating you. She has hired people to dig into your background. She is convinced that you are hiding something, that you are not who you claim to be." Elena said nothing, but something flickered in her eyes. Fear, guilt. Marcus could not tell. I am not going to pretend that I know you well, he continued. We met 3 months ago. I hired you to cook and clean. I never asked about your past because it did not seem relevant. But now it is relevant. Now my mother is threatening to destroy you, and I need to know if there is anything she might find. Elena was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. There are things in my past that I am not proud of. Billionaire, Marcus's heart sank. What kind of things? Nothing criminal, nothing that would put your children in danger, but things that your mother could use against me, things that would make me look like someone you should not trust. Tell me. Elena took a deep breath. Her hands twisted in her lap. My brother Daniel, the one I told you about, he did have an accident, and he was paralyzed, and my grandmother did help him walk again. All of that is true. But I left out part of the story. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Daniel's accident was my fault. The words hung in the air between them. What do you mean? Marcus asked softly. We were at the skate park together. I was supposed to be watching him, but I got distracted. I was talking to some friends, not paying attention. Daniel wanted to show off. He tried a trick that was too advanced for him. He fell. Tears streamed down Elena's face. He was 12 years old, and I was 17, and I was supposed to be taking care of him, and instead I was flirting with some boy whose name I do not even remember anymore, and my brother fell and broke his back, and it was my fault. All my fault. Marcus moved to sit beside her on the bed. He did not touch her, but he stayed close. That is why I worked so hard to help him, Elena continued. That is why I learned everything my grandmother knew, because I was trying to make up for what I had done. I was trying to fix something that I had broken. And your parents, what did they say? They never blamed me, not directly, but I saw it in their eyes. Every time they looked at Daniel in that wheelchair, every time they had to carry him up the stairs or help him get dressed or take him to another doctor's appointment, I saw them remembering that it was supposed to be me watching him, me keeping him safe. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. When Daniel finally walked again, I thought it would be okay. I thought the guilt would go away, but it did not. It never goes away. It just gets quieter sometimes. Is that why you came to Boston, to get away from the guilt? Elena nodded. I needed to start over. I needed to be somewhere that nobody knew me, nobody knew what I had done. I needed to find a way to forgive myself. And working with my sons? When I saw them in those wheelchairs, I saw Daniel all over again. I saw 2 little boys who had been given up on, and I thought maybe this is why I am here. Maybe this is my chance to save someone else's brothers. Maybe this is how I finally make peace with what happened. She looked at Marcus, her eyes pleading. I should have told you this from the beginning. I know that, but I was afraid. I was afraid that if you knew the truth about me, you would not trust me with your children, and I could not bear the thought of losing them. They have become my whole world in 3 months. I love them like they were my own. Marcus was silent for a long moment, processing everything she had told him. Is that all? He finally asked. Is that everything you have been hiding? There is one more thing. Elena's voice dropped even lower. But if I tell you, you might hate me. Tell me anyway. Elena closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were filled with a pain that Marcus recognized all too well. I was engaged once, to a man named Michael. We were supposed to get married 2 years ago, but 3 months before the wedding, I found out that he had been stealing from me, from my family. He had accessed our bank accounts, taken everything we had saved. Over $50,000. What happened? I confronted him. He said he needed the money to pay off gambling debts. He said he was going to pay it all back. He said I was overreacting. Elena's hands clenched into fists. I called off the wedding, filed a police report, but by then he had already left the state. The police could not find him. My family's money was gone, and I was left with nothing except a broken heart and a ruined credit score. Is that why you were living in that tiny apartment in Dorchester? Yes, I could not afford anything better. I was working 3 jobs just to pay rent and send money home to my parents to help with Daniel's ongoing care. When I saw the job posting for a housekeeper at the Thornton mansion, it seemed too good to be true. Good salary, room, and board included benefits. I applied expecting to be rejected. But you got the job. Your assistant said you had been through 11 housekeepers in 18 months. Nobody wanted to work in a house with 2 disabled children and a boss who was never home. I was the only applicant who did not seem to care about any of that. Marcus almost laughed. 11 housekeepers. He had not realized it was that many. He had been so checked out of his own life that he had not noticed the revolving door of staff coming and going. "So that is everything?" he asked. "The accident with Daniel, the broken engagement, the financial problems. That is all." "That is all. I am not a criminal. I am not a con artist. I am just a woman who made mistakes and is trying to make up for them." Marcus reached out and took her hand. She flinched slightly at the contact, then relaxed. "Thank you for telling me," he said. "I know that was not easy. Are you going to fire me?" "No." "Are you going to tell your mother what I told you?" "Absolutely not. This is between us. My mother can investigate all she wants. She is not going to find anything except a woman who has been through hard times and come out stronger, and that is not a scandal. That is a qualification." Elena's eyes searched his face. "You really mean that?" "I do." Marcus squeezed her hand gently. "You saved my sons, Elena. You gave them back their voices. I do not care about your past. I care about their future. Our future." Elena's breath caught. Our future. Marcus realized what he had said, what it had implied. He did not take it back. "Whatever that means," he said quietly. "We will figure it out together." At 6:30 p.m., Marcus's phone rang. His mother's number. He answered with a sense of dread. "Marcus, I have the results of my investigation." "Already? I told you, I have excellent resources." Victoria paused dramatically. "Your Elena Reyes has quite a past." "I know, she told me everything." That stopped Victoria cold. "She told you?" "Yes, about her brother's accident, about her broken engagement, about her financial struggles. She was completely honest with me." "Did she tell you that the man she was engaged to, Michael Hartley, is currently wanted in 3 states for fraud and embezzlement?" Marcus's blood chilled. "What?" "Oh, she left that part out, did she? Michael Hartley was not just a gambling addict who stole from his fiancée. He was a professional con artist who targeted vulnerable families. He would charm his way into their lives, gain access to their finances, and then disappear with everything." "Elena was a victim, not an accomplice." "Are you sure about that?" "Because according to my investigators, Elena Reyes maintained contact with Michael Hartley for 6 months after she claims he disappeared. Phone records do not lie, Marcus." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Elena had told him Michael had vanished, that the police could not find him, that she had not heard from him since. But if Victoria's investigators were right, if there were phone records proving otherwise, then Elena had lied to him about something important, about something that changed everything. "I can see this is a lot to process," Victoria said smoothly. "I will give you some time to think about it. But Marcus, I am only going to say this once. Get that woman out of your house, before she destroys what is left of your family." The line went dead. Marcus sat in his study, staring at nothing, feeling the fragile peace he had built crumbling around him. He had trusted Elena, he had defended her. He had started to believe that maybe, just maybe, she was exactly who she claimed to be. But phone records do not lie. If Elena had stayed in contact with Michael Hartley, a wanted con artist, then what else was she hiding? What else had she lied about? And most importantly, what did she really want from him and his sons? Marcus looked at his phone. He could confront Elena right now, demand answers, force her to explain. Or he could verify his mother's claims first. Make sure she was not lying or exaggerating to get what she wanted. He dialed his security chief. "I need you to look into someone for me. Michael Hartley. And I need everything you can find on his connection to Elena Reyes." "Yes, sir. How urgent is this?" Marcus thought about his sons sleeping upstairs. Thought about Elena in her room, believing she had finally found a place where she belonged. Thought about everything he stood to lose if he was wrong about her. "Very urgent," he said. "I need answers by morning." The night stretched endlessly. Marcus paced his study, checking his phone every few minutes, waiting for word from his security chief. Sleep was impossible. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Elena's face. Her tears, her confession, her plea for understanding. Had it all been an act? At 11:47 p.m., his phone finally buzzed. "Mr. Thornton, I have preliminary results." "Tell me." "Michael Hartley is indeed wanted in 3 states. Fraud, embezzlement, identity theft. He has been operating under various aliases for the past 8 years. His specialty is targeting vulnerable women, particularly those with access to wealthy families." Marcus's stomach turned. "And Elena? What is her connection to him?" "That is where it gets complicated, sir. The phone records your mother mentioned are real. There were calls between Elena Reyes and a number registered to one of Hartley's known aliases. 17 calls over a 6-month period after she claims he disappeared. So she lied to me. Not necessarily. The security chief paused. I dug deeper into the records. The calls were all incoming. Elena never initiated contact, and the duration of most calls was under 30 seconds. What does that mean? It means she was being harassed, sir, not communicating. Hartley was calling her, and she was hanging up. The longer calls, the 3 that lasted more than a minute, coincide with dates when Elena filed harassment reports with the Los Angeles Police Department. Marcus sank into his chair. She filed reports. Yes, sir. 3 of them. She claimed her ex-fiancé was stalking her, that he was threatening her family, that she feared for her safety. The LAPD opened an investigation but could not locate Hartley. He had already moved on to his next victim. Relief flooded through Marcus so fast it made him dizzy. Elena had not been lying. She had been protecting herself. The phone records his mother had weaponized were actually proof of her victimization, not her complicity. There is more, sir? Go on. I found hospital records from 2 years ago. Elena Reyes was admitted to Cedars-Sinai with a fractured cheekbone and 3 broken ribs. The admitting notes indicate she claimed to have fallen downstairs, but the attending physician noted that her injuries were inconsistent with a fall. Marcus closed his eyes. He hit her. It appears so, sir. There was no police report filed at the time, but 6 weeks later, Elena ended the engagement and filed her first fraud complaint against Hartley. The picture was becoming clearer now. Elena had not just been robbed by her fiancé, she had been abused by him, stalked by him, terrorized by him, and she had found the courage to leave anyway. One final thing, sir, and this is the most interesting part. What is it? Michael Hartley was arrested 2 weeks ago in Nevada. He is currently awaiting trial on multiple charges. There is no way he could be targeting Elena or anyone else right now. He is in custody. Marcus let out a breath he did not realize he had been holding. Thank you. This is extremely helpful. What would you like me to do with this information, sir? Nothing. This stays between us, and I want you to run a second investigation. On whom? My mother. I want to know exactly where she got her information and who she has been talking to about Elena. Understood, sir. Marcus hung up. He sat in silence for a long moment, processing everything he had learned. His mother had deliberately misrepresented the phone records. She had painted Elena as a potential co-conspirator when the evidence clearly showed. She was a victim. Victoria Thornton had manipulated the facts to serve her own agenda. But why? What did she have to gain by driving Elena away? The answer came to Marcus slowly, painfully. Control. Victoria had controlled every aspect of his life for as long as he could remember. His education, his career, his marriage, or at least she had tried to control that before Catherine came along. And now with Catherine gone, Victoria saw an opportunity to reclaim her influence over her son and her grandsons. Elena was a threat to that control. Elena had succeeded where Victoria's hand-picked specialists had failed. Elena had earned the boy's love and trust in ways that Victoria never had. And Elena had begun to earn Marcus's trust too. That was what Victoria could not tolerate. At 6:15 a.m., Marcus knocked on Elena's door. She opened it almost immediately. She had not slept either. Her eyes were red, her face pale with worry. Mr. Thornton, what is it? Has something happened? I need to talk to you. Can I come in? Elena stepped back. Marcus entered and closed the door behind him. I know about Michael, he said. Elena's face went white. What do you mean? I know he hit you. I know he stalked you. I know you filed harassment reports and he kept calling anyway. I know everything. Elena's hands flew to her face. She turned away from him, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. I had my security team investigate, Marcus continued. Not because I did not trust you, because my mother was trying to use your past against you. She claimed you were in contact with Hartley after the breakup. She made it sound like you were his accomplice. I was not, Elena choked out. I swear to God I was not. He would not leave me alone. He kept calling and calling, threatening to hurt my family if I did not take him back. I changed my number 3 times and he always found the new one. I know, I saw the records. I know you were the victim. Elena turned to face him. Tears streamed down her cheeks. He put me in the hospital, she whispered. The night I told him I knew about the stolen money, he broke my ribs, fractured my cheekbone. I told the doctors I fell down the stairs because I was afraid of what he would do if I told the truth. You do not have to explain. Yes, I do, because your mother is right about one thing. I did hide this from you. I did not tell you how bad it really was. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed that I had let myself be fooled by him, that I had stayed with him as long as I did, that I was so desperate for love that I ignored all the warning signs. Marcus stepped forward and took her hands in his. "Listen to me," he said firmly. "What happened to you was not your fault. You were targeted by a professional predator, someone who has done this to multiple women, someone who is now in custody and will spend years in prison. None of that reflects on you." Elena's eyes widened. "He is in custody, arrested 2 weeks ago in Nevada. He cannot hurt you anymore." The relief that washed over Elena's face was almost painful to witness. She sagged against Marcus, her forehead pressing against his chest, her body shaking with sobs of release. Marcus held her. He did not think about propriety or boundaries or what his mother would say. He just held her, feeling her pain, sharing her relief, wishing he could take away all the damage that had been done to her. "It is over," he murmured. "He is gone. You are safe now." "I have been running for 2 years," Elena said against his chest. "I have been looking over my shoulder everywhere I go. I have been afraid to trust anyone because I was so wrong about him." "You can trust me?" She pulled back slightly, looking up at his face. "Can I? Your mother wants me gone. She is not going to stop." "My mother does not control this house. I do. She has resources. She has connections. She can make my life very difficult. So can I." Marcus's jaw tightened. "And I am done letting her dictate how I live my life. I have spent 42 years trying to please her, trying to meet her impossible standards, trying to be the son she wanted me to be. It ends now." "What are you going to do?" "I am going to have a conversation with her, one that is long overdue." At 9:30 a.m., Marcus sat across from his mother in his study. Victoria looked perfectly composed as always. Not a hair out of place. Not a wrinkle in her designer suit, the picture of controlled elegance. Marcus felt sick looking at her. "You lied to me," he said without preamble. Victoria's eyebrows rose. "I beg your pardon. The phone records. You said Elena was in contact with Michael Hartley. You implied she was working with him, but you left out the part where he was stalking her, where she filed multiple harassment reports, where she was a victim, not an accomplice." Victoria's face did not change. "I shared the information I had. You shared a selective interpretation designed to make Elena look guilty. That is not information. That is manipulation." "I was trying to protect you." "No, Mother. You were trying to control me. There is a difference." Victoria set down her teacup with a precise click. "Marcus, I understand you are upset. I understand you have developed feelings for this woman. This is not about feelings. This is about truth. The truth is that Elena Reyes is a damaged woman with a troubled past who has inserted herself into your family at a vulnerable moment. Whether she is a deliberate con artist or simply an opportunist, she does not belong in this house. That is not your decision to make. As your mother and the grandmother of those boys, I have every right to voice my concerns. Voice them all you want, but if you interfere again, if you try to sabotage Elena or spread lies about her, I will cut you off." Victoria's composure finally cracked. Her eyes widened with genuine shock. "You would not dare." "Try me." Marcus leaned forward. "I have spent my entire life bending to your will. I let you criticize my wife. I let you dictate where my children went to school. I let you fill this house with nurses and specialists that you approved of, even when they failed to help my sons. But not anymore." "Marcus, you are being dramatic." "Am I? You want to know what I realized last night? Mother, I realized that the only person who has actually helped Ethan and Noah in 18 months is the woman you are trying to destroy. Not your Swiss specialists, not your German protocols, not your Israeli treatments that cost a fortune and achieve nothing. Elena, a 29-year-old housekeeper with no medical degree and no fancy credentials. She succeeded where everyone you championed failed." Victoria's face flushed with anger. "That woman is practicing medicine without a license. She is moving their legs and singing them songs. That is not medicine, that is love. Love." Victoria spat the word like it was poison. "You sound like your father." "Thank you." Victoria flinched like she had been slapped. Marcus's father had died when he was 12. Richard Thornton had been everything Victoria was not. Warm, emotional, present. He had loved his son unconditionally, had encouraged him to follow his heart, had told him that success meant nothing without happiness. Victoria had spent the last 30 years trying to erase Richard's influence, trying to mold Marcus into her image of what a Thornton man should be. Cold, controlled, calculating, and she had almost succeeded. Your father was a weak man, Victoria said, her voice trembling with barely suppressed rage. He let his emotions rule him. He made foolish decisions. He nearly bankrupted this family with his ridiculous charitable ventures. He was a good man, the best man I ever knew. He was a failure. He was my father, and I spent 30 years trying to forget everything he taught me because you convinced me it was weakness. But you were wrong, Mother. Being cold and controlled did not protect me from pain. It just made me unable to comfort my sons when they needed me most. Victoria stood abruptly. Her hands were shaking. I will not sit here and be lectured by my own son. Then leave. But understand this. If you come back, it will be as a guest in my house. Not as a controller of my family. Not as a dictator of my choices. You will treat Elena with respect. You will treat my sons with warmth, and you will either accept that things have changed or you will not be welcome here. Victoria stared at him for a long moment. Marcus saw something in her eyes that he had never seen before. Fear. His mother was actually afraid of losing him. You would really choose her over me. I am not choosing her over you. I am choosing my sons. I am choosing their happiness. I am choosing hope over control. If you cannot accept that, then yes, I will choose their future over your approval. Victoria said nothing. She gathered her purse, straightened her jacket, and walked to the door. She paused with her hand on the doorknob. You will regret this, Marcus. When she betrays you, when she reveals her true colors, when everything falls apart, you will wish you had listened to me. Maybe, but I would rather risk being wrong about someone good than be right about pushing everyone away. Victoria left without another word. Marcus sat alone in his study, his heart pounding, his hands shaking. He had just done something he had never done in his entire life. He had stood up to his mother, and it felt like freedom. At 11:15 a.m., Marcus found Elena in the therapy room with the boys. She was sitting on the mat, Ethan's leg in her hands, working through the gentle stretches that had become their daily routine. Both boys looked up when he entered. Something had changed in their faces over the past few days. The emptiness was fading. The light was returning. Daddy, Noah said. The word was still rough, still effortful, but it was there. Hey, buddy. Marcus knelt beside his son. How are you feeling today? Good. Noah looked at Elena. Miss Elena says I am getting stronger. You are, sweetheart. You are getting stronger every day. Marcus looked at Elena. She was watching him with cautious eyes. My mother is gone, he said. She will not be bothering you anymore. Elena's breath caught. What did you say to her? The truth, that she does not control this family, that I make my own decisions, that Elena Reyes is staying as long as she wants to stay. Something shifted in Elena's expression. Hope, relief, and something else. Something that made Marcus's heart beat faster. Thank you, she whispered. You do not have to thank me. I should have said those things to her years ago. Ethan tugged at Marcus's sleeve. Daddy, can you help me? Help you with what, buddy? Miss Elena says I might be able to stand today, if someone holds me. Marcus looked at Elena. She nodded. He has been making incredible progress. His leg muscles are responding. I think if we support him, he might be able to bear his own weight for a few seconds. Marcus's throat tightened. What do I do? Kneel behind him. Put your hands under his arms. When I say go, lift him gently and help him find his balance. Marcus positioned himself behind Ethan. The boy's thin body felt fragile in his hands. So small, so vulnerable, so impossibly precious. Ready, sweetheart? Elena asked. Ethan nodded. His face was set with a determination. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Marcus lifted. Ethan's legs straightened beneath him. His feet pressed against the mat. And for 3 glorious seconds, Ethan Thornton stood. His legs trembled, his face scrunched with effort. But he stood, under his own power, for the first time in 18 months. Then his knees buckled, and Marcus caught him, pulling him close, holding him tight. You did it, Marcus choked out. Oh my God, Ethan, you did it. You stood up. Ethan was crying. Happy tears, triumphant tears. I did it, Daddy. I stood up. You did, buddy. You stood up. I am so proud of you. I am so incredibly proud of you. Noah was bouncing in his wheelchair, his face lit up with joy. My turn, I want to try. Elena laughed through her own tears. Okay, sweetheart, your turn. They repeated the process with Noah. Marcus knelt behind him, hands under his arms, heart in his throat. 1, 2, 3. He lifted. Noah's legs straightened. 2 seconds? Just 2 seconds? But Noah stood. The room filled with laughter and tears and joy. Marcus held both boys close, one in each arm, feeling their small hearts beating against his chest. Elena sat on the mat watching them, her face radiant with happiness. This was what she had been working toward. This was what she had fought for. This was the miracle she had believed in when no one else would. And Marcus knew in that moment that he was falling in love with her. At 2:45 p.m., Marcus received a call from Dr. Hayes. "Mr. Thornton, I have news. The results from the additional tests we ran yesterday just came back. And the nerve regeneration is accelerating. Both boys are showing increased electrical activity in their spinal columns. Dr. Chen believes we are witnessing a genuine recovery pattern. What does that mean for their prognosis? It means we need to revise our expectations significantly. If this progress continues, there is a strong possibility that both boys could regain substantial mobility within the next 12 to 18 months. Marcus had to sit down. His legs would not support him. Are you saying they could walk? I am saying that what we are seeing defies conventional medical wisdom. The damage to their spines should have been permanent. But something is happening in their bodies that we cannot explain. Call it a miracle. Call it spontaneous recovery. Call it whatever you want. But the results are undeniable." Marcus hung up the phone. He sat in silence, tears streaming down his face. His sons were going to walk. His broken, damaged, written-off sons were going to walk. He found Elena in the kitchen preparing lunch for the boys. "The doctor called him," he said. Elena turned her face anxious. "What did he say?" Marcus could not speak. He just walked to her, took her face in his hands, and kissed her. It was impulsive, inappropriate, completely unprofessional, and it was the most honest thing he had done in years. Elena stiffened for a moment, surprised. Then she melted into him, her hands coming up to grip his shoulders, her lips soft against his. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were breathing hard. "What was that for?" Elena whispered. "Dr. Hayes says the boys might walk again, really walk, within the next year." Elena's hand flew to her mouth. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. "Oh my God, Marcus, oh my God." It was the first time she had called him by his first name. He loved the way it sounded on her lips. "You did this," he said. "You made this happen." "No, I just believed in them. Their bodies did the rest." "You gave them hope. You gave me hope. You saved my family, Elena." She shook her head. "Your family is not saved yet. There is still a long road ahead. Recovery is not a straight line. There will be setbacks, bad days, moments when it feels like we are going backward. I know, but for the first time since the accident, I believe we can handle whatever comes, because we are not alone anymore." Elena looked at him. If you want, if you will stay, not as the housekeeper, as part of this family." "Marcus, I do not know if that is appropriate. Your mother will never accept it. The world will talk. They will say terrible things." "Let them talk. I spent my whole life caring about what other people thought. It brought me nothing but misery. I am done living for appearances." He took her hands in his. "I am not asking you to marry me. I'm not asking for anything except a chance. A chance to see where this goes. A chance to build something real. With you. With the boys. With whatever future we can create together." Elena was quiet for a long moment. Marcus could see the war playing out behind her eyes. The fear of being hurt again. The fear of trusting someone new. The fear of hoping for something that might be taken away. But also hope. The same stubborn, defiant hope that had driven her to help his sons when everyone else had given up. "Okay," she finally said. "Let us see where this goes." At 5:30 p.m., the doorbell rang. Marcus was not expecting anyone. His mother had left that morning, and he had not scheduled any appointments. He opened the door. A man stood on the porch. Tall, dark-haired, handsome in a slick, polished way that immediately set Marcus's teeth on edge. "Can I help you?" "I hope so." The man smiled. It did not reach his eye. "I am looking for Elena Reyes. I understand she works here." Marcus's blood went cold. "Who are you?" "My name is David Hartley, Michael's brother." The smile widened. "And I need to speak with Elena, urgently. It concerns her safety." Marcus did not move, did not invite the man in, did not show any reaction at all. "Elena is not available." "Then perhaps you could give her a message." David Hartley reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. "My brother is going to trial in 3 weeks. Elena is on the witness list, Someone needs to explain to her exactly what will happen if she testifies. Is that a threat? It is information, Mr. Thornton. Just information. David pressed the envelope into Marcus's hand. Give her the message. Tell her that family looks out for family, and tell her that some secrets are better left buried. He turned and walked back to a dark sedan parked at the curb. Within seconds, he was gone. Marcus stood frozen in the doorway, the envelope burning in his hand. Secrets. What secrets? He opened the envelope. Inside was a single photograph. A photograph of Elena, standing next to Michael Hartley, at what appeared to be a wedding ceremony. Their wedding ceremony. The photograph was dated 18 months ago, 6 months after Elena claimed she had ended the engagement, 6 months after she said Michael had disappeared. Marcus stared at the image, his mind refusing to process what his eyes were seeing. Elena had not just been engaged to Michael Hartley, she had married him, and she had never said a word. Marcus stood in the doorway for what felt like hours, staring at the photograph in his trembling hands. The image burned into his retinas. Elena in a white dress, Michael Hartley in a dark suit, both of them smiling, both of them standing before what was unmistakably an altar. Married. She had married him. At 5:47 p.m., Marcus finally moved. He walked into the house, closed the door, and leaned against it. His legs felt like water. His chest felt like it was filled with broken glass. Everything she had told him, every confession, every tear, every moment of vulnerability, had it all been lies? He could hear laughter coming from upstairs. The boys, Elena's voice mixed with theirs, warm and musical. The sound that had brought him such joy just hours ago now made his stomach turn. Who was she really? Marcus looked at the photograph again, studied it. The date stamp was clear. October 15th, 18 months ago. Just 2 months before he had hired her. If she had married Michael Hartley, she was still married to him. There had been no divorce. His security team would have found records of that, which meant Elena Reyes was not Elena Reyes at all. She was Elena Hartley, the wife of a wanted con artist, and she was upstairs with his children right now. Marcus took the stairs 2 at a time. He burst into the therapy room without knocking. Elena looked up startled. The boys were on the mat working on their leg exercises. Marcus, what is wrong? He held up the photograph. Explain this. Elena's face drained of all color. Her hands flew to her mouth. For a long moment she did not speak. Could not speak. The boys, she finally whispered. Please, not in front of the boys. Marcus looked at Ethan and Noah. Both children were staring at him with wide, frightened eyes. They had seen this expression on his face before. They remembered what happened the last time he was this angry. The rage drained out of him. Not completely, but enough. Mrs. Patterson, he called out. The night nurse appeared in the doorway. Take the boys to their room, now. Yes, sir. Mrs. Patterson wheeled both boys out of the therapy room. Ethan reached for Elena as he passed. Miss Elena. It is okay, sweetheart. Elena's voice was steady, but Marcus could see her trembling. I will come see you soon, I promise. The door closed. They were alone. Start talking, Marcus said. Elena sank onto the mat. Her legs seemed to give out beneath her. She wrapped her arms around herself like she was trying to hold herself together. It is not what you think. Then tell me what it is. Because right now, all I see is a woman who lied to me about everything. You said you ended the engagement. You said he disappeared. You never mentioned that you married him. I did not marry him willingly. The words hung in the air between them. What does that mean? Elena's eyes were hollow when she looked up at him. Do you remember what I told you about the night he put me in the hospital, the night I told him I knew about the stolen money? You said he broke your ribs, fractured your cheekbone. Yes, and do you know what else he did that night? Elena's voice broke. He told me that if I tried to leave him, he would destroy my family. He said he had information that would put my father in prison. He said he had recorded conversations, forged documents, things that would make it look like my father was involved in his schemes. Marcus felt his anger wavering. Was your father involved? No, of course not. My father is a retired school teacher. He knows nothing about fraud or embezzlement. But Michael was smart. He had spent months setting up the evidence. He had recordings of my father saying things that taken out of context sounded incriminating. He had bank transfers that looked like payments. He had everything he needed to ruin an innocent man. So you married him to protect your father. I did not have a choice. Tears streamed down Elena's face. He gave me an ultimatum. Marry him or watch my father go to prison for crimes he did not commit. I had 6 hours to decide. 6 hours to choose between my freedom and my family. Marcus sat down heavily on a nearby chair. His head was spinning. The wedding was at a courthouse in Nevada. Just me, Michael, and a judge he had bribed. I wore a dress he picked out. I said vows I did not mean, and the moment it was over, the moment we were legally married, he laughed. He said I belonged to him now. He said I would never be able to leave. But you did leave. Not right away. For 3 months I was trapped. He controlled everything. My money, my phone, my movements. He moved us to a different city every few weeks, so I could not make friends, could not reach out for help. I was completely isolated. Elena wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Then one night he got drunk. Really drunk. And he started bragging about his schemes, about all the people he had cheated, about how stupid they all were, and he mentioned something about his next target, a rich family in Boston, a widower with young children, someone who would be easy to manipulate. Marcus's blood ran cold. He was talking about me. I did not know it at the time. He did not mention your name, but he described the situation. A wealthy man, a dead wife, disabled children. He said it would be the easiest score of his life. So you came here to warn me. No. Elena shook her head. I came here to escape. When Michael passed out that night, I took his wallet, his car keys, and every piece of evidence I could find about my father's fake involvement. Then I drove. I drove all night until I crossed the state line. But you ended up in Boston, working in my house. That cannot be a coincidence. It is not. Elena took a deep breath. After I escaped, I went into hiding, changed my name, moved around, but I could not stop thinking about what Michael had said, about the family he was planning to target. I did some research, found news articles about your wife's death, about your son's injuries, and I realized you were the target. So you got a job in my house to protect us. I got a job in your house to gather information. I wanted to know if Michael had already made contact with you, if he had someone on the inside. I was going to expose whatever scheme he was planning and then disappear. Marcus stared at her. But you did not disappear. No. Elena's voice softened. Because I met your sons, and I fell in love with them, and I realized that protecting them was more important than protecting myself. Why did you not tell me the truth? Because I was afraid. I was afraid you would not believe me. I was afraid you would think I was part of Michael's scheme. I was afraid you would send me away before I could help the boys. You should have trusted me. How? Elena's voice rose. You barely spoke to me for the first 2 months. You were never home. You treated me like furniture. And when you finally did start to notice me, it was because I had done something you did not approve of. Why would I trust someone who had given me every reason to believe he would not listen? The words hit Marcus hard. Because she was right. He had been absent, distant, cold. He had given her no reason to trust him with the truth. I am sorry, he said quietly. For what? For not being someone you could trust. For not being here. For all of it. Elena looked at him for a long moment. Something shifted in her expression. The fear began to fade, replaced by something that looked almost like hope. The photograph, she said. Where did you get it? A man came to the door, said his name was David Hartley, Michael's brother. Elena's face went white again. David was here. Yes, he left an envelope, said you are on the witness list for Michael's trial, said someone needs to explain to you what will happen if you testify. Oh God, Elena pressed her hands against her face. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Elena, what is it? What does David want? David is worse than Michael. Her voice was muffled by her hands. Michael is a thief, a liar, a manipulator, but David is dangerous, really dangerous. He has connections to people who make problems disappear. Are you saying he would hurt you? I am saying he has hurt people before, people who threatened to testify against Michael, people who knew too much. Elena looked up at Marcus, her eyes wild with fear. There was a woman in Arizona. She was going to testify about a real estate fraud scheme. 2 days before the trial, she was in a car accident. The brakes failed. She died. That could have been a coincidence. It was not. David bragged about it to Michael. I heard them talking. David said it was amazing what a little mechanical knowledge could do. Marcus felt ice spreading through his veins. Are you saying David Hartley killed that woman? I am saying he made sure she would not testify, and now he's making sure I know what happens to witnesses who do not cooperate. At 7:15 p.m., Marcus called his security chief. I need a full security detail on my house immediately. 24 hours a day. I want cameras on every entrance, every window, every possible point of access. And I want background on a man named David Hartley. Everything you can find. Sir, is there a specific threat? Yes, and it is serious. I also need you to contact the FBI. David Hartley just threatened a witness in a federal case. That is witness intimidation. They need to know about it. Understood, sir. I will have a team there within the hour. Marcus hung up. He turned to Elena, who was pacing the room like a caged animal. The FBI will handle David. In the meantime, you are not leaving this house. Neither are the boys. Marcus, you do not understand. David does not care about the FBI. He does not care about security teams. He has spent his entire life evading consequences. He will find a way to get to me. Not here. Not while I am protecting you. You cannot protect me. Not from him. Marcus stepped in front of her, forcing her to stop pacing. He took her face in his hands. Listen to me. I have spent my entire life building an empire. I have resources, power, connections. I have faced down hostile takeovers, corporate espionage, and competitors who would have destroyed me if they could. David Hartley is not going to intimidate me, and he is not going to hurt you. I will make sure of it. Elena's eyes searched his face. Why are you doing this? After everything I kept from you, why do you still want to help me? Because my sons need you, because you saved my family, and because I am falling in love with you, Elena. Whether that is wise or foolish, I do not care. It is the truth. Elena's breath caught. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then she kissed him. It was desperate, hungry, full of fear and hope and everything in between. Marcus pulled her close, feeling her body shake against his, feeling the terror she was trying to hide. I am scared, she whispered against his lips. I know, but you are not alone anymore. At 9:30 p.m., the security team arrived. 6 men in dark suits, professionally armed, professionally trained. They swept the house, checked every room, installed additional cameras, and set up a monitoring station in the guest house. Marcus watched them work, feeling slightly surreal. 24 hours ago, he had been worried about his mother's disapproval. Now he was preparing for an attack by a man who might have murdered someone. How had his life become this complicated? At 10:15 p.m., his phone rang. Unknown number, he answered cautiously. Hello, Mr. Thornton? David Hartley's voice, smooth, calm, completely untroubled. I see you have added security to your property. Impressive response time. Marcus's jaw tightened. You are being watched, Hartley. I have already contacted the FBI. Whatever you are planning, it is not going to work. Planning? David laughed softly. I am not planning anything, Mr. Thornton. I am simply a concerned family member trying to reach my sister-in-law. You see, Elena has information that could help my brother's case. Exculpatory evidence. Things that could prove his innocence. Your brother is not innocent. He is a con artist and a thief. Allegedly, and allegations require proof. Proof that Elena could provide if she were willing to cooperate. She is not interested in helping your brother. Then perhaps she should reconsider, for her own sake and for the sake of those sweet little boys you are so desperate to protect. Marcus's blood turned to ice. Are you threatening my children? I do not make threats, Mr. Thornton. I simply point out realities. Elena knows things. Things that could be very damaging to very powerful people. People who are not as patient as I am. People who solve problems permanently. If you come near my family, I will destroy you. Strong words from a man who does not know what he is dealing with. David's voice hardened. You think you are powerful because you have money. There are people in this world who make your fortune look like pocket change. People who operate in shadows you cannot even imagine. Michael was working for them, and they are very interested in making sure he does not talk. What does that have to do with Elena? Elena knows names, dates, account numbers. She was married to Michael for 3 months. He talked too much when he was drunk. She knows things that could bring down an entire network, and the people who run that network do not leave loose ends. The line went dead. Marcus stood frozen, the phone still pressed to his ear. His mind was racing. This was bigger than a simple fraud case, bigger than Michael Hartley and his schemes. There was a network, powerful people, shadow operations, and Elena was caught in the middle of it all. At 11:45 p.m., Marcus found Elena in the boys' room. She was sitting between their beds, watching them sleep, her face wet with tears. I should leave, she said without looking at him. I am putting them in danger just by being here. You are not going anywhere. Marcus, you do not understand what you are up against. David said there are powerful people involved. People who make problems disappear. If I stay here, they might come for the boys. If you leave, who is going to protect you? I will disappear again. Find a new name, a new city, start over, and spend the rest of your life running. Marcus sat down beside her. That is not living, Elena. That is surviving. There is a difference. At least the boys would be safe. They would be broken. Marcus looked at his sleeping sons. You have given them something no one else could. Hope, joy, a reason to fight. If you disappear, they will lose all of that, and so will I. Elena finally looked at him. You are asking me to put your children at risk. I am asking you to trust me to protect all of us. I am not doing this alone. I have resources. I have connections. And I have people who owe me favors. Big favors. We can fight this, Elena, together. What if you are wrong? What if they get past your security? What if something happens to Ethan or Noah because of me? Then we will deal with it. But I am not going to let fear control our lives. I did that for 18 months after Catherine died. I let fear of losing the boys paralyze me. I let fear of pain stop me from loving them. I am done with fear. Elena was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached out and took his hand. You are either very brave or very foolish. Probably both. She almost smiled. Catherine was a lucky woman. I am the lucky one. I had her for 10 years, and now I have you. At 6:30 a.m., Marcus's phone woke him from a restless sleep on the couch in his study, his security chief's number. Sir, we have a development. David Hartley was arrested 30 minutes ago. Marcus sat up suddenly wide awake. What? How? The FBI moved fast. They reviewed the recording of your phone call last night. Yes, I had them tap your line. I hope that is acceptable, and combined with Elena's testimony about the Arizona incident, they had enough to bring him in for questioning. That is incredible news. Still, there is more. During the arrest, they found documents in Hartley's vehicle, financial records, account numbers, names of people connected to the network he mentioned. It is exactly what the FBI needed to blow this whole thing open. So it is over. The immediate threat is contained, sir. David Hartley is in federal custody and is not going anywhere. But I would recommend maintaining security for the next few weeks until we are certain there are no other actors involved. Done, whatever it takes. Marcus hung up. He walked upstairs to Elena's room, knocked on the door. She opened it immediately. She was already dressed, her eyes red from lack of sleep. David has been arrested, Marcus said. Elena stared at him. What? The FBI picked him up this morning. They found evidence in his car. The whole network is being exposed. Elena's hand flew to her chest. She swayed on her feet. Marcus caught her before she could fall. It is over, he said. You are safe. I do not. I cannot. She could not form words. 18 months of running. 18 months of fear. And now suddenly it was over. Elena collapsed against Marcus's chest and wept. He held her for a long time. Let her cry. Let her feel the release of all that terror finally lifting. What happens now? She finally asked. Now you testify. You help the FBI bring down everyone who was involved, and then you start living again, really living. I do not know how to do that anymore. Then we will figure it out together. At 10:00 a.m., the boys were awake and demanding attention. They had no idea about the drama of the night before. To them, it was just another morning. Marcus carried Ethan to the therapy room, while Elena carried Noah. The security team was still visible outside the windows, but the boys did not seem to notice. Miss Elena, Noah said, can we practice standing again today? Of course we can, sweetheart, but first your daddy has something to tell you. Marcus looked at her surprised. She nodded encouragingly. He knelt in front of both boys, took one of each of their hands in his. I need to tell you guys something important, something I should have said a long time ago. Ethan and Noah watched him with serious eyes. They could tell this was significant. For a long time after Mommy went to heaven, I was very sad. So sad that I did not know how to be a good daddy anymore. I stopped playing with you. I stopped reading to you. I stopped being there when you needed me. Marcus's voice cracked. He had to pause to collect himself. That was wrong, and I am so sorry. You deserved better. You deserved a daddy who was present, who was there for the hard days and the good days, who helped you fight instead of giving up. Ethan reached out and touched his father's face. The gesture was so tender, so unexpected, that Marcus nearly broke down completely. It is okay, Daddy, Ethan said. His words were still effortful, but they were clear. You are here now? I am, buddy, And I am never going to leave again, I promise." Noah reached for him, too. Marcus pulled both boys close, holding them against his chest, feeling their small hearts beating against his. Elena stood back, watching tears streaming down her face. This was what she had been fighting for. Not just the physical recovery, the emotional healing, the reconnection of a broken family. "Miss Elena?" Ethan said, pulling back slightly. "Are you going to stay?" Elena looked at Marcus. He nodded. "Yes, sweetheart, I am going to stay, for as long as you want me." "Forever." Elena laughed through her tears. "Forever sounds good to me." At 2:30 p.m., Victoria Thornton arrived unannounced. Marcus met her at the door. His security team had already cleared her, but he was not happy to see her. "Mother, I thought I made myself clear." "You did, but I have something to say and you are going to listen." Victoria's voice was different, quieter, almost humble. "May I come in?" Marcus hesitated, then he stepped aside. Victoria walked into the foyer. She looked older somehow, smaller. The past few days had taken a toll on her too. "I heard about David Hartley's arrest," she said. "My sources tell me Elena was instrumental in providing information to the FBI." She was. "I also heard that she was married to Michael Hartley, that she was trapped in that marriage against her will, that she has spent the past 18 months running from dangerous people." "All true." Victoria was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was thick with something Marcus had rarely heard from her. Emotion. "I owe her an apology." Marcus stared at his mother. "I am sorry. Can you repeat that?" "Do not be smug, Marcus. It is unbecoming." Victoria straightened her spine. "I was wrong about Elena. I judged her based on appearances and assumptions. I tried to destroy her reputation without knowing the full story. That was beneath me. Yes, it was. I am not accustomed to admitting mistakes. Your father used to say it was my greatest flaw, but I am admitting this one. Elena Reyes is not the person I thought she was, and I treated her unfairly. Are you going to tell her that if she will let me?" Marcus considered this. His mother apologizing. It was unprecedented. It was also exactly what Elena deserved. "Wait here." He went upstairs and found Elena in the therapy room with the boys. They were practicing their standing exercises, both children grinning with pride as they held themselves upright for longer and longer periods. "Elena, my mother is here. She wants to speak with you." Elena's face went pale. "Marcus, I cannot. Not after everything she did." "She wants to apologize." Elena blinked. "She what?" "I know, I was surprised too, but I think she means it, and I think you should hear what she has to say." Elena looked at the boys, then at Marcus. Then she took a deep breath. "Okay, but if she says one cruel thing, I am walking out." "Fair enough." They went downstairs together. Victoria stood in the foyer, her hands clasped in front of her, looking uncharacteristically nervous. "Mrs. Thornton," Elena said coolly. "Elena." Victoria cleared her throat. "I owe you an apology. I was wrong about you. I said things and did things that were cruel and unfair. I allowed my need for control to override my judgment, and I hurt you in the process." Elena said nothing, just watched, waited. "My grandsons are making progress that doctors said was impossible. They are speaking again. They are standing. They are becoming the happy, lively children they were before the accident. And that is because of you, because you refused to give up on them when everyone else, including their grandmother, had stopped trying." Victoria's voice wavered. "I have spent my entire life believing that I knew best, that my way was the right way. But watching you with those boys has shown me how wrong I have been. Love is not about control. It is about presence, about patience, about faith." She looked directly at Elena. "I do not expect you to forgive me. I do not deserve it. But I want you to know that I see you now. I see who you really are, and I'm ashamed of how I treated you." The room was silent for a long moment. Then Elena spoke. "I appreciate your apology, Mrs. Thornton, and I accept it. But understand this. I am not going anywhere. I love your grandsons. I love your son. And I am going to be part of this family, whether you like it or not." Victoria almost smiled. "I would expect nothing less." She turned to Marcus. "You have chosen well, darling. Better than I ever could have chosen for you." It was the closest thing to approval Victoria Thornton had ever given, and Marcus knew it had cost her everything to say it. At 7:00 p.m. after Victoria had left and the boys were settled for the evening, Marcus and Elena sat together in the therapy room. The mat where the boys had taken their first steps was spread out before them. The wheelchairs sat folded in the corner, unused symbols of a past that was slowly fading. "What happens now?" Elena asked. "Now we move forward. The FBI will need your testimony. There will be trials, media attention. It will not be easy." "I am not afraid of difficult. I am afraid of losing what we have built here." Marcus took her hand. "You are not going to lose anything. We are going to face this together, whatever comes. And after, when the trials are over and the danger has passed, after we build a life, a real life, with the boys, with each other, with whatever future we can create." Elena looked at him. "Are you proposing?" "Not yet. You deserve a proper proposal, flowers, a ring, all of it. But someday when the time is right, yes. I am going to ask you to marry me, and I am very much hoping you will say yes." Elena's smile was radiant. "That depends." "On what?" "On whether you can learn to cook, because I am tired of making dinner every night." Marcus laughed. For the first time in 18 months, he laughed without reservation, without holding back, without the weight of grief pressing down on him. "I think I can manage that." Elena leaned against his shoulder. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the evening light fade through the windows. Upstairs, the boys were sleeping peacefully. The security team patrolled the perimeter. Victoria was on her way back to her own home, chastened and changed. And Marcus Thornton, the man who had frozen his heart against the world, felt it finally beginning to thaw. 3 weeks had passed since David Hartley's arrest. The federal investigation had exploded into one of the largest fraud cases in American history. Names were emerging. Politicians, business leaders, international criminals. The network Michael Hartley had worked for was being dismantled piece by piece. Elena had given her testimony to the FBI 4 times now. Each session lasted hours. Each session drained her completely, but she never wavered. She told them everything she knew. Every name, every date, every conversation she had overheard during those 3 months of captivity. At 8:15 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, the lead FBI agent called Marcus directly. "Mr. Thornton, I wanted you to hear this from me first. Elena's testimony has been crucial. We have secured indictments against 17 individuals, including 3 sitting members of Congress and the CEO of a major international bank." "That is remarkable." "It is unprecedented. Your wife has shown incredible courage." Marcus paused. "She is not my wife. Not yet." "My apologies, but based on what I have seen, I suspect that will change soon." Marcus smiled despite himself. "You might be right about that." At 10:30 a.m., Marcus walked into the therapy room. Elena was working with the boys as she did every morning, but something was different today. Ethan was standing without support, not for seconds, for minutes. His legs trembled slightly, but he stood, on his own, completely unaided. Marcus stopped in the doorway, afraid to breathe, afraid to break the spell. "Daddy, look," Ethan said. His voice was clear now, almost normal. "I am standing by myself." "I see, buddy, I see." "Watch this." Ethan took a step, then another, then a third. 3 steps. Unassisted. Impossible steps that every doctor had said would never happen. Marcus dropped to his knees. He opened his arms. Ethan walked into them. 4 more steps. 7 steps total. His son had walked to him. "Oh my God!" Marcus's voice broke completely. "Oh my God, Ethan, you walked. You actually walked." Ethan wrapped his arms around his father's neck. "I have been practicing. Miss Elena said I was ready. She said I could surprise you." Marcus looked at Elena over his son's shoulder. She was crying. Noah was crying too, bouncing in his wheelchair, desperate for his turn. "Me too," Noah demanded. "I want to walk to Daddy too." "Okay, sweetheart." Elena helped Noah to his feet, steadied him, then let go. Noah took 1 step, wobbled, took another. His face was scrunched with concentration. "Come on, buddy," Marcus encouraged. "You can do it. Come to Daddy." Noah took a 3rd step, a 4th, a 5th, then he stumbled. Marcus lunged forward and caught him before he could fall. "I did it," Noah gasped. "I walked 5 whole steps." "You did, buddy. You both did. I am so proud of you. I am so incredibly proud." Marcus held both boys, one in each arm, tears streaming down his face. Elena knelt beside them, her hands on the boys' backs, completing the circle. This was his family now, broken and healed, and stronger than ever. At 1:00 p.m., Marcus received a call from his assistant. "Sir, you have a visitor. She says she is Catherine's mother." Marcus froze. Catherine's mother? Ruth Evans, the woman who had blamed him for her daughter's death. The woman who had not spoken to him since the funeral. "Send her in." Ruth appeared in the doorway of his study a moment later. She looked older, thinner. The grief had carved deep lines into her face. "Marcus." "Ruth, I did not expect to see you." "I did not expect to come." Ruth's voice trembled. "But I heard things. About the boys, about their recovery. I had to see for myself." "Who told you?" "Victoria. She called me last week. Said things were changing here. Said I should come see my grandsons before I wasted any more time holding on to anger." Marcus blinked. His mother had called Ruth Victoria Thornton, reaching out to the woman she had always dismissed as beneath their social standing. "I would like to see them," Ruth continued, "if you will allow it." "Of course. They are in the therapy room with Elena." "Elena, the housekeeper. Victoria told me about her too." Ruth's eyes searched Marcus's face. "Is it true? Is she really the reason they are getting better?" "Yes, she never gave up on them. When everyone else, including me, had stopped believing, she kept fighting." Ruth was quiet for a moment. "Catherine would have liked her." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow, coming from Ruth, who had every reason to hate him, who had blamed him for not answering Catherine's call. The day she died, it meant everything. "Yes," Marcus said softly. "She would have." They walked to the therapy room together. Ruth paused in the doorway, her hand flying to her mouth. Ethan and Noah were on their feet, both of them, holding hands, supporting each other, taking small, shuffling steps across the mat. "Oh, my Lord," Ruth breathed. "Marcus, they are walking." "They are. Every day they get a little stronger." Ruth rushed to her grandsons, dropped to her knees, pulled them both into her arms. "My babies, my beautiful babies. Grandma has missed you so much. I am so sorry I stayed away. I am so, so sorry." Ethan hugged her back without hesitation. "It is okay, Grandma. You're here now." The simple forgiveness of a child, so pure, so complete, so unlike the complicated resentments of adults. Elena stepped back, giving the family space. Marcus moved to stand beside her. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what?" "For everything. For the boys. For giving Ruth a reason to come back. For bringing this family together." Elena slipped her hand into his. "I did not do anything except believe." Sometimes that is everything. At 4:30 p.m. after Ruth had finally left with promises to return every week, Marcus asked Elena to meet him in the garden. She found him standing near the fountain, a small velvet box in his hand. "Marcus, what is this? I told you I was going to do this properly. Flowers, a ring, the whole thing." Simeon. He gestured at the roses blooming around them. "I know it has only been a few weeks since everything happened. I know this is fast, but I have learned something in the past 18 months. "What is that? That life is too short to wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is the one you make, right now, today." He dropped to one knee. "Elena Reyes, you came into my life as a housekeeper and became the heart of my family. You saved my sons when I had given up. You saved me when I did not know I needed saving. I have no idea what the future holds. I just know I want to face it with you." He opened the box. Inside was a diamond ring. Simple. Elegant. A single stone that caught the afternoon light. "Will you marry me?" Elena stared at the ring, then at Marcus, then at the ring again. "I am still legally married to Michael. The annulment has not been finalized." "I know. We can wait. As long as it takes. I am not asking you to marry me tomorrow. I am asking you to spend the rest of your life with me. Your mother will have opinions. My mother has already given her blessing, in her own way. The boys might not understand. The boys asked me yesterday when I was going to make you their new mommy." Elena laughed through her tears. "They did not." "They did. Ethan specifically requested that you become official because he wants to call you Mom instead of Miss Elena. His words, not mine." Elena pressed her hands against her face. Her shoulders shook with silent sobs. "Is that a yes?" Marcus asked. She dropped her hands. Her face was radiant. "Yes, yes, you impossible, wonderful man, yes." Marcus slipped the ring onto her finger, stood, pulled her into his arms. They kissed in the garden, surrounded by roses, while somewhere inside the house, two little boys pressed their faces against the window and cheered. At 7:00 p.m., the family gathered for dinner. It was the first time they had all eaten together at the same table. Marcus at the head, Elena at his side. Ethan and Noah in their specially designed chairs that allowed them to sit at the table without wheelchairs. "Can I say grace?" Ethan asked. Marcus looked at Elena. She nodded. "Of course, buddy." They all bowed their heads. Ethan's small voice filled the room. "Dear God, thank you for this food. Thank you for Daddy and Miss Elena and Noah and Grandma Ruth and even Grandma Victoria. Thank you for making our legs work again. And thank you for bringing Miss Elena to us. She is the best thing that ever happened except for Mommy. And we know Mommy is watching from heaven and she is happy. Amen." "Amen," everyone echoed. Marcus had to take a moment to compose himself. His 5-year-old son had just delivered a more eloquent prayer than he could have managed himself. "That was beautiful, buddy," Ethan grinned. "Miss Elena helped me practice." "Did she now?" Elena shrugged innocently. "He wanted to surprise you." "Well, mission accomplished." They ate together, talking and laughing like a real family, like the family Marcus had thought he lost forever when Catherine died. After dinner, while Elena put the boys to bed, Marcus sat in his study and looked at the photograph on his desk. Catherine on their wedding day. Young. Beautiful. So full of life. "I hope you approve," he said quietly. "I hope you know I never stopped loving you, but I have room in my heart for Elena too. And I think you would want the boys to have a mother who loves them. I think you would want me to be happy again." He could almost hear Catherine's voice in his head, her laugh, her teasing tone. "Of course I approve, you idiot. Now stop talking to a photograph and go be with your family." Marcus smiled, set down the picture, went upstairs. At 9:30 p.m., he found Elena sitting in the hallway outside the boys' room, her back against the wall, listening to them sleep. "Everything okay?" "Better than okay." She looked up at him. "I was just thinking about how much has changed. 3 months ago, I walked into this house expecting to find information about a con artist. Instead, I found a family." Marcus slid down the wall to sit beside her. "Life is strange, for it's trained that way." "It is." Elena leaned her head on his shoulder. "Can I tell you something? Anything. When Michael first targeted your family, he said you would be easy to manipulate. He said you were a broken man drowning in grief, desperate for any lifeline. He said he would have you wrapped around his finger within weeks. Charming. But he was wrong. You are not broken, Marcus. You were hurt. There is a difference. Broken people cannot heal. Hurt people can." Marcus took her hand. "I was broken for a long time, but you put me back together." "No, you put yourself back together. I just gave you a reason to try." They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the soft sounds of their son's breathing. "I want to start a foundation," Marcus said suddenly. "What kind of foundation?" "For children with spinal injuries. To fund the kind of unconventional therapy that helped Ethan and Noah. There are so many kids out there who have been written off, whose parents have been told they will never walk again. I want to give them hope." Elena sat up straight. "Marcus, that is incredible." "I want you to run it. You know more about this than I'm bad. You could develop programs, train therapists, create protocols based on what you learned from your grandmother." "I am not qualified. I do not have any degrees or certifications." "Then we will get you qualified. I will pay for whatever training you need. But the knowledge you already have, the intuition, the faith that cannot be taught, that comes from the heart." Elena's eyes filled with tears. "You would really do that, start an entire foundation just because of what happened with the boys?" "I would do anything for this family, including use my resources to help other families who are going through what we went through." Elena threw her arms around him. Yes, absolutely yes, I want to help. I want to give other parents the hope that I was able to give you." "Then it is decided. The Thornton Recovery Initiative. We will announce it next month." At 11:00 p.m., Marcus's phone rang, an unfamiliar number. "Mr. Thornton, this is Agent Reynolds from the FBI. I apologize for the late hour, but I thought you would want to know immediately." "Know what?" "Michael Hartley has agreed to testify against the entire network in exchange for a reduced sentence. He is providing names, dates, financial records, everything. This is going to be the biggest prosecution of organized financial crime in American history." Marcus exhaled slowly. "That is good news." "There is more. Part of his cooperation agreement includes a full annulment of his marriage to Elena Reyes, along with a formal statement that the marriage was conducted under duress. Legally, it will be as if the marriage never happened." Marcus felt a weight lift from his shoulders. "How soon?" "The paperwork should be finalized within the week. She will be free." Marcus thanked the agent and hung up. He walked to the bedroom where Elena was getting ready for bed. That was the FBI. Elena tensed. What now? Michael is cooperating. Full testimony, and as part of the deal he is annulling the marriage. You will be free within a week. Elena sat down heavily on the bed. I will be free. Yes. I have not been free in almost 2 years. I know. She looked up at him with wonder in her eyes. It is really over, all of it. The running, the hiding, the fear. It is actually over. It is over, and the rest of our lives is just beginning. 6 months later, on the perfect Saturday afternoon in May, Marcus Thornton and Elena Reyes were married in the garden of the Thornton estate. The guest list was small. Victoria sat in the front row, her expression a mixture of pride and something that might have been genuine happiness. Ruth sat beside her, the two grandmothers united by their love for the children. Dr. Hayes and Dr. Chen were there still marveling at the medical miracle they had witnessed. The nurses and therapists who had helped along the way, a handful of close friends and trusted employees. But the most important guests stood at the altar beside their father. Ethan and Noah Thornton dressed in matching tuxedos holding the rings on small velvet pillows. They were standing, on their own, for the entire ceremony. Elena walked down the aisle on the arm of her brother Daniel, the brother who had once been paralyzed, the brother who now ran marathons, the brother whose recovery had taught her everything she knew about faith and persistence and love. She wore a simple white dress, no veil, no elaborate train, just Elena, radiant and real. Marcus watched her approach his heart so full he thought it might burst. Who gives this woman to be married? The officiant asked. Her family does, Daniel said, with joy and gratitude. He placed Elena's hand in Marcus's and stepped back. We are gathered here today to witness the union of Marcus and Elena, the officiant began. But this is not just a wedding. This is a testament to the power of hope, to the resilience of the human spirit, to the miracle of love in its many forms. The officiant looked at the boys. Ethan and Noah, do you welcome Elena into your family? Do you accept her as your mother, to love and cherish from this day forward? We do, the boys said in unison, clear, strong, without hesitation. Elena wiped tears from her eyes. Marcus squeezed her hand. Marcus, do you take Elena to be your wife, to love and honor through joy and sorrow, in sickness and health, for as long as you both shall live? I do. Elena, do you take Marcus to be your husband, to love and honor through joy and sorrow, in sickness and health, for as long as you both shall live? I do. Then by the power vested in me by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Marcus, you may kiss your bride. Marcus pulled Elena into his arms and kissed her. The small crowd erupted in cheers. Victoria dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief. Ruth wept openly, and Ethan and Noah, the two little boys who had been told they would never walk again, ran to their parents and threw their arms around them both. Ran. Not walked. Ran. The reception was held in the same garden. As the sun began to set, Marcus stood and raised his glass. When Catherine died, I thought my life was over. I thought happiness was something that belonged to my past, not my future. I spent 18 months frozen in grief, unable to help my sons, unable to help myself. He looked at Elena. Then a woman came into my life. A woman who refused to give up. A woman who saw possibilities where everyone else saw limitations. A woman who loved my children back to life and taught me how to love again. His voice cracked. Elena, you are my second chance. The gift I never expected and do not deserve. Every day for the rest of my life, I will try to be worthy of you. I will try to be the husband you deserve and the father our boys need. I will never take a single moment for granted, because I know how quickly everything can change, and I know how precious every day truly is. He raised his glass higher. To Elena, my wife, my partner, the heart of our family, thank you for saving us all. The guests raised their glasses. To Elena. Elena stood, her own glass trembling in her hand. I came to this house running from my past. I was scared, broken, convinced that I would never be safe again. I took this job because I needed money and a place to hide. I never expected to find a home. She looked at Ethan and Noah, but then I met two little boys who had been told they could not walk, and I saw something in their eyes. A spark, a fight, a refusal to accept the limitations the world had placed on them. They reminded me of my brother Daniel. They reminded me why I believe in miracles. She turned to Marcus. And I met a man who had lost everything and did not know how to find his way back. A man who had built walls around his heart so high he thought no one could ever climb them. But I climbed anyway. Because that is what you do for the people you love. You keep climbing, even when it seems impossible. Her voice strengthened. Marcus, you gave me a family when I had lost everything. You believed in me when I did not believe in myself. You stood up to your mother, the FBI, and a network of criminals, all to keep me safe. I do not know what I did to deserve you, but I will spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of your love. She raised her glass. To Marcus, my husband, my protector, the father of our beautiful boys, thank you for giving me a reason to stop running. The guests raised their glasses again. To Marcus. Victoria stood next. Marcus braced himself. His mother at a microphone was always unpredictable. I have made many mistakes in my life, Victoria began, but my greatest mistake was believing that I knew what was best for everyone around me. I tried to control my son's choices. I tried to drive away the woman he loved. I was wrong. She looked at Elena. Elena, you proved me wrong in every way possible. You are not the opportunist I accused you of being. You are a miracle worker, a healer, a mother in every way that matters. I am proud to call you my daughter-in-law, and I am sorry for how I treated you. The crowd murmured in surprise. Victoria Thornton apologizing publicly. It was unprecedented. To the happy couple, Victoria concluded, may your lives be filled with joy. May your children continue to amaze us all, and may I learn to be a better grandmother, a better mother-in-law, and a better person. If Elena can teach paralyzed children to walk, perhaps she can teach an old woman some new tricks. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Victoria actually smiled. As the evening wore on, Marcus found a quiet moment alone with his sons. They sat together on a bench, watching the adults dance and celebrate. Are you happy, Daddy? Ethan asked. I am, buddy. I am the happiest I have been in a very long time. We are happy too, Noah said. Miss Elena, Mom makes everything better. She does. Daddy, Ethan's voice grew serious. Is Mommy in heaven watching us? Marcus felt his throat tighten. Yes, buddy, I believe she is. Do you think she is happy that we have a new mom? I think she is very happy. Mommy loved you boys more than anything in the world. All she ever wanted was for you to be happy and healthy, and now you are both. I still miss her sometimes, Noah said quietly. I know, I miss her too, and that is okay. We can love Mom and still miss Mommy. Hearts are big enough to hold both. Ethan leaned against his father. I'm glad you are not sad anymore, Daddy. You used to be so sad all the time. I was, but you boys and Mom helped me find my way out of the sadness. We are a family now, a real family. Yes, buddy, we are. The night ended with fireworks. Marcus had arranged them as a surprise for Elena and the boys. They stood together on the lawn, four of them watching colors explode across the sky. Elena leaned into Marcus. This is perfect. You are perfect. I am far from perfect. You are perfect for us. That is all that matters. 1 year later, the Thornton Recovery Initiative celebrated its official opening, a state-of-the-art facility designed to help children with spinal injuries staffed by therapists trained in Elena's unconventional methods. Marcus cut the ribbon. Elena gave a speech that left half the audience in tears, and Ethan and Noah walked across the stage to join their parents, living proof that miracles were possible. Dr. Hayes spoke about the medical implications. Dr. Chen discussed the research opportunities. Scientists and doctors from around the world attended, eager to study the methods that had achieved impossible results. But the most powerful moment came at the end of the ceremony. A little girl in a wheelchair was brought to the stage. Her name was Sophie. She was 7 years old. She had been paralyzed in a car accident 6 months earlier. Her parents had been told she would never walk again. Elena knelt beside her. Sophie, do you know why you are here? Sophie shook her head. You are here because there are people who believe in you, people who think you can do amazing things, people who are not going to give up on you no matter what anyone says. Elena took the girl's hands. I am going to tell you a secret. See those 2 boys over there, Ethan and Noah? 2 years ago, they were in wheelchairs just like you. Doctors said they would never walk again, but they did not give up. And now look at them. Sophie looked at Ethan and Noah standing tall and strong. Can I really walk again? She whispered. I cannot promise anything, but I can promise that we are going to try, together, every single day, and we are not going to stop until we find out what is possible. Sophie's mother was crying. Her father had his arm around her, tears streaming down his own face. This was what the foundation was for. This was why Marcus had built it. Not for recognition or legacy, but for moments like this. For the hope in a little girl's eyes. for the possibility of another miracle. That night after the celebration ended and the guests went home, Marcus and Elena sat together in the living room of their home. The boys were asleep upstairs, exhausted from the excitement of the day. "We did it," Elena said. "The foundation is real. We are going to help so many children. We did it together. I never imagined my life would look like this. A year ago, I was hiding in a tiny apartment in Dorchester, afraid of my own shadow. Now I am running a foundation, married to a billionaire and the mother of 2 amazing boys. Life takes unexpected turns." "It does." Elena was quiet for a moment. "Do you ever think about how different things would be if you had not come home early that day, if you had not caught me with the boys?" Marcus considered the question. "I think about it sometimes, but I believe things happen for a reason. You were supposed to be in my life. The boys were supposed to walk again. We were supposed to find each other. You believe in fate. I believe in you. That is enough." Elena smiled, leaned in, kissed him softly. "I love you, Marcus Thornton." "I love you too, Elena Thornton." The name still felt new on his tongue. Still felt like a miracle every time he said it. His wife, his partner, the woman who had saved his family when he had given up all hope. 2 years after the accident that killed Catherine and paralyzed his sons, Marcus Thornton had found happiness again. Not the same happiness he had known before. Something different, something deeper, something forged in the fire of loss and strengthened by the power of love. Upstairs, his sons slept peacefully. 2 little boys who ran and jumped and played like any other children. 2 little miracles who defied every medical prediction. In his heart, Marcus carried Catherine with him still. Her memory, her love, her blessing. He knew she was watching from somewhere beyond, knew she approved, knew she was at peace. And beside him, Elena breathed softly, her hand resting on his chest, her wedding ring catching the moonlight. His second chance, his unexpected gift, his forever. Marcus closed his eyes and let the peace wash over him. The journey had been long and painful. There had been moments when he thought he would not survive. Moments when the grief threatened to swallow him whole. Moments when he could not see any path forward. But he had survived. He had found his way. He had learned that the human heart was capable of healing even from the deepest wounds. And he had learned the most important lesson of all. Hope is not foolish. Giving up is. Love is not weakness. It is the greatest strength we have. And miracles are not reserved for fairy tales. They happen every day to ordinary people in ordinary homes, whenever someone refuses to accept that impossible means impossible. Marcus Thornton had arrived home unannounced that day, expecting to find his sons in their wheelchairs, empty and broken. Instead, he found Elena Reyes, and she changed everything. Some people call it luck, some people call it fate, some people call it the hand of God. Marcus called it love, and love he now knew was the only miracle that ever truly mattered.